And welcome everybody to day 2 of the Reset, Reclaim and Realign Summit. We are so honored to have you all with us today. Yesterday was an amazing first day. We had powerful speakers from all over sharing nuggets with you. I'm your moderator, Marcy McLeod. I'm based here in Abu Dhabi and I've been here for 22 years. And for those of you who had logged on yesterday, you all have heard my story. For those of you who are new today, we welcome you with open arms and never fear, you won't have missed out because the recording will be sent in the comments later. So yesterday, who do we have? We had yours truly, where I talked about purpose and what that means. Are you living your true purpose? Are you doing something that you love, or are you living the life that others think you should be living? And then we had the wonderful Lydia Andrews, where she talked about gaining financial freedom, working on financial independence, carving out your future. We can't leave anything to chance. And then, of course, we had Cordelia Henry, where she was dropping pearls of wisdom and talking about how we can really maximize on our connections. We need to be sharing and making and building and empowering each other and being intentional about that. So I want to find out who we have on with us today. I can't see it, just bear with me, just check my comments. There's anyone on here at the moment? Yes, we have S. McPherson. Where are you tuning in from, S. McPherson? So yesterday was, as I said, a fabulous opportunity for us to connect, network, and to share some golden nuggets. You know, it's a new year, new things. It's 2022, and we cannot go into this new year in the way that we were before. So I want you guys to grab your coffees, grab your teas, or maybe something a little bit stronger, and to get ready for this amazing adventure of day 2. So you're tuning in from Dubai, S. McPherson. Fantastic. And we have Akua also. Amazing. Thank you for joining us, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. Fantastic. So, as I said before, we have an amazing lineup of women today. Most of the women that will be speaking today, I actually know personally. So I'm truly honored to be able to, be here and to empower them to speak and share their stories. So first of all, we will have the beautiful Kai Charles, who's also the brainchild behind Black Girl in Dubai. I met Kai, I think now probably 3 or 4 years ago, and she has actually been in the UAE for 5 years. And honestly, she is an inspiration, beautiful soul. She's someone who is a natural connector, multifaceted, and is all about building communities. And this is the ethos of Black Girl in Dubai. We're here to connect and to build as a community. We don't need to do life alone, and it takes a village. If you would like to know more about what Black Girl in Dubai does, click on the link that will be available to you in the comments, and hit us up, network, connect, collaborate. It's all about growing together. We also have the amazing Akua, aka Teresa Powell, who will be sharing her story of how she's gone from CEO of, or not CEO, she's gone from employee of a major corporation to CEO and founder of her own company. These are women who are sharing their real stories, their real struggles, the ups, the downs, the lows, the highs. We share because we want you to know it is possible. It is possible to fulfill your dreams if you put your mind to it. And these women today are going to show you how that is possible. Then we will have the amazing, energetic EJ, who I too have had the pleasure of working with, where she works with people for them to be able to share their voice, where she's able to empower you to share your story in ways that make it possible for you to feel that, you know, you have something to offer to the world. So I want to ask, can anybody tell us why you're here today? What is it? What is it you're hoping to gain from today's session? Any comments here? Okay. Hi, Gloria. Where are you tuning in from? Great to have you on board. I believe you were on board yesterday, and I know that you were able to see many of the golden nuggets that were dropped. In particular, I know you were inspired by Lydia Andrews, who talked about financial freedom. Yes, how's the weather over there in Canada, Gloria? Yes, Akua, you're looking for inspiration. Fantastic. And that is something you're definitely going to get here today. We are here to inspire you all. We are here to share our stories for you to know that it's possible. Oh, I'm sorry, Gloria. I'm sorry to hear that it's cold. It's certainly not too warm here. So if that's any consolation for you. S. McPherson, you're here for the empowerment and the community. For sure. We are better together. We don't have to do life alone. And that's definitely something I have learnt just by living here and tapping into different cultures, different communities. I've realized that I don't have to struggle. As Cordelia shared yesterday about being intentional with our networks, finding 5 people that have different strings that they can bring to your world, to your vision. I personally worked with Cordelia a few years ago when I was embarking on a mission to write my book, and it made me look at my friendship circle. Okay, I looked at, okay, I know lots of people and I have lots of friends, but am I actually utilizing my friends to the best of my abilities? And so by being able to understand which friends were good at which things, I was able to tap into their expertise, and they were able to support me to fulfilling my dream. So it is all about empowerment and community. So I want to make sure that everyone that's tuned in right now has their notepads, their pens, their tea, their coffee, because in a few minutes, we're going to be bringing up the wonderful Kai Charles. And she will be sharing how you can build your confidence. She's going to share her journey of what has brought her to this point today and how she has navigated through some of her challenges to unleash the confidence that she now has and that she wants to impart with other people. I'm super, super excited because for me personally, just being able to watch my sisters grow, not only professionally, but, on a personal level, it's a beautiful thing to watch. And this is what we want for all of you. We want all of you to be able to be inspired today, to walk away, to share with a friend. And talking of sharing with a friend, if you're on here and you feel that this is something that one of your friends may need to hear today, share with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Okay? Knowledge is free, and we want you to have this knowledge. You may learn something today that you'll be able to take on and progress in your life. Now, why would you want to keep that to yourself? So you click on the link, share it with your friends, make sure that they're on, make sure that they're partaking. As Kai said yesterday, this is one of the best gifts that you'll be able to give anyone, sharing knowledge. Well, I think I just want to see if there's any other comments in here or anybody would like to add anything or to say anything. I can see that Gloria is saying she's cold. Anybody else? Anyone else? Anyone would like to tell us where they're from, where they're tuning in from? If anyone was on yesterday, what nuggets they took away, what's brought them back here today? What are they looking forward to? What are you hoping to gain from being on here? Please share in the comments. We want to encourage you to connect and to communicate and to share your thoughts with us today. Okay, so I think we are probably just about ready to bring on the beautiful Kai. As I said before, she is a pillar of the community. She has been here in Dubai, in the UAE, for 5 years, and she is moving mountains. She's an inspirational speaker. She is an author. She is a podcaster. She is a woman of many talents, and I'm truly honored to call her my friend. So, on that note, we're going to hand over, and Kai is going to share her story.
Kai is an entrepreneur, mentor, speaker, and motivational author of self-help workbook, I Am What I Say I Am. Through her own personal journey of self-discovery, evolution, and experience in business and music as a Black female, Kai uses her voice to serve the world and empower people to show up as their true selves, as a proclaimed self-love advocate. As part of the UN's Decade Initiative to recognise people from the African diaspora from 2015 to 2024, Kai was nominated for the top 100 most influential people of African descent in 2020. Born and raised in London, now based in Dubai, the creative and businesswoman has been carving her path in business, passion, and serving her purpose to help women discover the best version of themselves. As the creator of Reclaim Your Power, a self-confidence course created to overcome self-doubt and live life to your true potential. Her contagious aura and business acumen can be seen both on and off the stage in her business and creative endeavors, such as hosting over 700 events in the UAE or empowering the Black and African community and businesses through platform Black Girl in Dubai. Connecting, entertaining, hosting, and speaking to audiences of all sizes, Kai has built on her intentional international experience with clients and unique venues. Connect with Kai and you will learn how to uncover your strengths, use them to serve the world, and build your confidence to go after the life you want.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Marcia. And hello to you watching. I do see there are some familiar faces who have joined. They were here yesterday. And for those of you who are just tuning in today, hello. I'm so excited because I've got lots to share. And I was actually a little bit emotional this morning just because I wanted to add some photos and I didn't find the ones I was looking for, but I came across some real gems. And yeah, I can't wait to share it with you all today. So I am going to be talking about how to build unstoppable confidence and just show up as your authentic self. And as Marcia mentioned, we did meet a couple of years ago, and I think by that time I had already started on this journey anyway, but there's definitely been so many nuggets that I've picked up along the way through that friendship, but I just want to share as much as I can with you here today and hopefully inspire you, and maybe there's lots more that can happen after this live stream. So if you haven't already, sit back, relax, but if you need to, grab a pen and paper because there will be some stuff in here you'll want to note down for yourself. So, unstoppable you, finding your passion and building your confidence. In case you want to get in touch, let's do the little screenshot thing now as well. This might be a good time. This will come back a little bit later, but just so you don't forget, this is a great time to put down the places that you can find me. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Now, obviously you're here today and we're very, very grateful, but why are you here now? And where are you in your journey? Now, if you just take a moment to think, even if it is something that you feel like you've talked about or addressed recently, of course, it's the new year and we're kind of, I don't know, some people are already having January blues and on a bit of a low, but maybe you're still feeling great, you're feeling high. But let's just take stock of that to see where you actually are. Are you happy? Are you lost? Do you need a bit of direction? Are things just moving too quickly with so many almost newsflash updates from all around the world, whether it's politics and things going on with work? Just have a moment. I'm going to pause, but I want you to think about where you are. And perhaps you're even wondering why everybody else seems to have it figured out except you. So let's just pause and have a think. Now, I want you to think about where you would like to be, okay? So if you're happy and you're in the space that you want to be, that is fantastic news. Well done. Congratulations. But if there's still something that you're striving towards, of course, many of us have goals and dreams and visions that we still want to work towards, which is absolutely fine. But I want you to really allow yourself to dream, to think bigger. Yes, I know there is a busy, noisy world outside, but just for this moment, you're going to take this time for yourself and imagine maybe that house or that car or, I don't know, that relationship maybe. What is it for you? Just think of all the possibilities and what you'd actually do if money was never an issue, okay? Now, I want you to keep this idea and vision that you have in your mind. Maybe even note it down if you've got pen and paper, because we're going to come back to that a bit later. But I want to tell you a little bit about me and link it all back to you, because there is a process and a reason to why I'm sharing the way that I am. So who am I? As you saw on the earlier slide, my name is Kai Charles, and I am a speaker, I'm a mentor, and an author. Actually, yes, I'm an author now. Still don't believe it myself sometimes, but I do wear many hats. And when I was much younger, I didn't really know a lot of the things that I was capable of. So I'm going to take you back to right now. I'm based here in Dubai whilst we're live, but I want to take you back to about 5 years ago when I just arrived here. So as you see this nice glitz and glamour music hall venue, this was the very first place that I was fortunate enough to perform in when I first arrived here. So you think I get off the plane, my cousin and I came together with literally nothing but 2 bags and hope. So 2 suitcases. She actually had a box of stuff because she's also a yoga teacher. But that's it. No job. No accommodation. And I'm laughing now, and I was very excited at the time, but honestly, it was not an easy journey. But I had this vision of wanting to be able to sing and be paid to sing. And I left everything that I knew in the UK behind to come and do that. Of course, I see the Burj Khalifa and the glitz and the glam, and of course, music venues like this, where there was about a 16-piece band at the time. So these big curtains open, and as they open, and the stage is huge, as you can see, I'm tiny in the middle. My heart is racing so fast, and I'm thinking to myself, I have to literally sing. These people on the other side are waiting to hear me. Now, yes, I did have some confidence to, of course, leave everything behind and get to this point here. But as the curtains are opening, I'm thinking about all of those things that I used to do when I was younger, playing with my sister, You know, let me introduce you actually. This is me. This is little Lee. And I'll tell you more about the Lee later. But this is little Lee, bubbly, smiling, wanting to share love and make up, you know, stories and things in my head and play them out with my sister and sing in the front room and annoy the whole household. But this was me. And there were so many things flashing through my mind from, you know, going to university when I, of course, got much older from this photo. You know, I'd followed all the right paths. I'd done all the right things. I had, you know, listened to parents. And I'd done so much of, I think, what everyone else wanted to do. But I come back to photos like this and I just see the smaller little child in me that was just wanting to share, wanting to be happy, wanting everyone else to be happy. And being on that stage and having these flashbacks and remembering all those times where I used to be practicing at home and, you know, the groups that I'd got into as a child, and then, you know, through talent shows at school and university, literally it's, you know, just flashing through my mind. My palms were sweaty, my mouth was dry, supposed to be hitting these notes. It reminded me of times like this where I was still trying to figure things out, when I wasn't sure, when there was a lot of other things going on, where I was doing a lot of the things that people wanted me to do because that's what they said. I did the university route. I left there and got a job in retail, which was my part-time job throughout university. But after I finished my 3 years, you know, it was a great idea to just go full-time. You know, I was encouraged to be a manager. So this is me actually at a party as a senior manager. And I clearly do not look very happy. I think I thought I was striking a cool pose there. But when I look at pictures like this of my earlier teens and early 20s, I can see the vacancy behind my eyes. And I don't know if that's familiar for any of you guys. When you look back at any of your old pictures, you can kind of get a sense of where you were at that time. But that's what I see in this. So back to Dubai, you know, I sing for the people, they love it, and I'm on this journey, and I was fortunate to have some friends who came out and joined me. Again, even in this picture, I was very early in my journey, but they jumped in the plane and was like, we're going to come see you, we're going to come and visit. So I think I was like 2 months in. And everything was new. You know, I can walk to places like, you know, the Burj Khalifa and take all these glamorous pictures, and I was in new surroundings. I had new and old friends hitting me up, you know, wanting to meet and do all kinds of things. But I was just throwing myself into new opportunity. And I found a new relationship. I was not dating in the sense that I would like back in the UK. And so when I moved here and found all these new opportunities, the new venues, the new agents, the new contacts, the new relationship was another thing that I was like, wow, why did I not do this sooner? So I get into this and I meet a very, very charming man by the name of Romeo Pinocchio. We'll call him that, okay? And by the name, you can tell that he was very charming, had a very deep voice. And with this deep voice, he would say nice things like, you know, you look hot today. You know, I like the way your skin looks, and I like this and I like that. And did you drink your water? You know, have you worked out? Have you been learning those songs? Because he too was also a musician. And I felt great because, like the very friends in this photo who'd come out to see me, they were also very well-rounded and grounded, and they were also into music. And I thought, I found friends and people that are like my people away from home. So I got deeper and deeper into this, moving very, very fast-paced. And for any of you who are in the UAE, especially Dubai, you know how fast-paced the city can be. But it wasn't long before some of the things he was saying started to irk me or left me questioning. And generally when I would challenge it, you know, sometimes it would be a passing comment, but then there would be times where he'd say things like, are you wearing that? Now, it wasn't before long that even when I was challenging things, there were rumors swirling around about some of the musicians and people that I hang out with, and the rumors about other women I then found out were true, things that I naively believed or followed in many circumstances were either not true or fabricated, and just so much of what he said was literally stuck and ingrained in my mind. And I'd gotten to this point thinking, my gosh, I've come all the way to Dubai. I've got friends and family like this who are so rooting for me. They want me to win. But I have not come all this way to get into a relationship with somebody that's not even respecting me to give me the truth like I thought the people that I have back home and the connections I thought I had made. And so I got into this kind of, I now know, depressive state. At the time, I didn't really realize that, but I wasn't really leaving the house unless I had a gig. And I was just thinking, there were so many things he was saying to me that kept on playing over and over again in my mind. And I couldn't work out the real from the fake. And it got to a point where my cousin, who's doing her yoga, would go out at, 5, 6, 7 a.m. for her clients and come back at 3, 4 in the afternoon and see me sitting in the exact same place, hadn't moved, hadn't really done much for the day, but the day had just sort of gone by. And she would say things to me like, babe, have you eaten? You can't let this guy get the better of you. But actually it become my world because I wasn't really making friends outside of music and outside of the music circle. What was I? Who was I? And I'm just thinking, I'm giving so much to him. I'm giving so much to people. I've given so much to even some of the gigs that I thought I was going to get called back from. And so many things I felt like were just coming on top of me. Why did I even come here in the first place? Yes, I thought I could do music and this and that, but I've come all this way, spent all this money. I'm in this glamorous city and I'm still in the same position. And I think it had been about 2 or 3 months where I'd been talking to myself very, very negatively. I'd been putting myself down and almost knowing it at the time because it's like, well, that's it. Same old, very medium, very average. What did you expect? And this went on and on and on. And as I said, my cousin would keep seeing me. I'm in this very dark space, not really saying much or doing much, can't be bothered. And then one day it hit me because I started saying things to myself like, why is this happening to me again? When I was back in London and this happened and I was doing this music and blah, 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 blah. And as I'm talking to myself, I'm realizing the key thing I actually said was, again, because when I was in London or at university and all these scenarios, like when I used to work in retail, I'm thinking these very same feelings that I'm feeling right now in a new home, in a new country, in new scenarios with new people, something literally was like a penny drop light bulb moment because it wasn't specifically the guy, although to be honest, even Marcia and quite a few friends that I've met here, I always say to them, we're going to need a bottle of wine to actually go into the details of what happened to me and I suppose for me, because I'm here now sharing with you. But at the time, it was a very, very toxic, manipulative relationship. And when I actually called out my ex at the time, he'd say things like, well, I'm a man. What do you expect? So, of course, I'm blaming myself again, but when I started to realize that actually I had allowed him to talk to me in a certain way, I had allowed him to get out of conversations or arguments or things that I knew needed more discussion, but we couldn't talk because, perhaps we were about to go to a gig or speak to an agent. All of these things, I was realizing that I'd actually let them happen. And when I started thinking back to even these very 2 people in the picture, I've done so much stuff before I came to Dubai, before I was posing in front of the Burj Khalifa. I had released music. I had, of course, gone to university. I'd had great jobs and positions before giving all of that up to come here. When did I forget this? And so as I literally have this light bulb moment, I remember literally where I was in the front room. It was pretty much dark as the sunset had gone down and I hadn't switched the lights on. But I jump up and I go into my bathroom and I start writing down, getting a little bit choked up here. But I start writing down the things that I'm remembering on my mirror. Because I'm saying, you are beautiful. You are amazing. You are talented. You can do this. You can do that. I'm reminding myself of all of those things that I had done, the company that I had. And I was angry at myself for a little bit because, of course, I had allowed his voice to be so much louder than my own, along with everybody else's. And then by the time I realize, and this excitement comes in me and I'm writing all over my bathroom mirror, I'm like, how did I even get to this point? When did I forget this? I need to remember it. And that's why it was literally a marker pen capital letters all over my mirror. I could barely see to do any makeup. I'd have to literally do my makeup in the tiny corners because I needed some way, I didn't know how, but I needed to remind myself. And so from then on, as you can see now, I was passionate, and I started going out again. My cousin, of course, is encouraging me to go out, and I go out and I start meeting people and telling people at my gigs, they're listening. And I actually meet someone who introduced me to my former business partner. And he was promoting events at the time. Sorry, I'm trying to compose myself because I'm finding this hilarious, but it really is getting to me. I think it's the pictures that I saw earlier, so bear with me. But I meet this guy, and we'll call him the guy from Denmark. And for those of you watching who know me personally, you know who, why, and where. So the guy from Denmark, is like, you're great at talking to people. Why don't you host some events with me and promote these restaurants? And at the time, I'm thinking, God, I need it. I need the gigs. I need this extra side hustle. So sure, I'm in. If you want me to talk to people and I get free food promoting restaurants, of course. But that in itself was such a big thing because people are like, so why is the food free? What's the catch here? And who are you? What do you do? Do you work for the restaurant? Like, what's the catch here? So I'm just telling people, listen, come in, buy some drinks, have a good time. Oh, and you know what? You should meet and talk to this person. And it's, literally as I'm saying it to you like this, I would see people or meet them and they tell me what they do. And I just say, oh, do you know what? I just met someone who told me, come meet this person. Anyway, before you knew it, I'm getting out there and, I'm going home to my cousin. I'm telling her I'm so frustrated because I'm going to do these events, which I did not come here to do. And I want to do the gigs. And it's just taking up so much of my time because this then became once, twice a week to then 6 times a week. So I was out 6 times a week doing all the talking and the eating and the free fooding. Yes, I know the food was free, but I wasn't always enjoying it because it wasn't food that I ate. And then another light bulb moment comes to me because I'm like, all my friends back home, I remember them telling me I talk too much. But actually, people here think that I don't talk too much. Do I talk too much? Maybe I do talk too much. No, they don't say that. They think I'm great. They think I'm great if I'm on the stage. They think I'm great when I'm just at a restaurant. Light bulb moment. I'm doing what I've always been told I should be doing. Using my voice. And it didn't have to be on a stage. I didn't have to be beating myself up, wondering why I hadn't written another song or released another track or put out another video. And I want you to think if you perhaps are doing this to yourself, where people are giving you all these compliments and you're throwing it out the window because you think, oh, that's not for me. I'm supposed to be doing this. Nah, she's not talking to me. She says I'm beautiful. She says I've got this nice top, but I can't be that nice. People were literally telling me this, and it got to me complaining and ranting to my cousin one day where I literally had like a brick wall hit me, where I was like, my God, this is easy. I mean, it was effort, don't get me wrong, being out 6 days a week, very, very energy consuming. However, I was doing it so naturally, and I realized that people sometimes hated talking to strangers, and I just did it naturally. And it boosted my confidence. And of course, the more that I'm telling people what I do, the more that I tell people the things that I've come across and the revelations I'm having, they're loving it. The more I'm sharing with my friends and family back home, there were 2, a guy and a girl, who were going through very different situations. They didn't know each other, but they're sending me voice notes here, assuming that I'm in the glitz and the glam and everything's perfect and I'm not in this, toxic/abusive relationship, which I'm not going to go into now, but I was. And even I think if there's anyone who knows me listening, if you've met me after that relationship, a lot of people go, oh, I don't really think that would have been you. And even friends and family back home, I didn't want to tell them how bad things got because I didn't want them to worry about me. So I, of course, told them things were fine because generally I was fine, but my mental health was not at all. Oh, God, how am I going to get through this? So I tell everyone, and I'm now journaling, I'm now meditating, I'm now reminding myself and, reciting the things that's on my mirror. And the 2 friends who are voice noting me at different times, nothing to do with each other, are also telling me the things that they're telling themselves. And thankfully, actually, both of them were over their depressive states at the time, but were, of course, still struggling with certain things. And so I, of course, told them what I'm doing. And it literally compelled me to get it out. So I'll tell you more about that later, but I had to end up getting that out in a physical way that people can also use and have a tangible resource, so that they're not also going through the same thing. Because I think sometimes as women, we assume that men are not going through this, but actually suicide rates for men are ridiculously high, and they don't speak about things, especially in the Black community or even Asian community. Oh my goodness. So I started getting back to me. So as you can see earlier on the picture where I'm in the grey dress, I didn't really figure out the hair and the outfits or whatever. Some compliment it, others, again, I can see in that I'm not really 100% confident, but it starts, and I'm, of course, remembering all the things from before. And here I get to this point where, with the journaling, with the events, me understanding that I need to use my voice for so many more things than just being on a stage. Telling so many people and realizing the chain effect and triggering new ideas and inspiration for them actually made me come and do things like this today, because I realized that if we don't share and if we don't talk, you know, for most of my life, I've been told that I talk too much. But if we keep internalizing those things and we allow so many other people to be in our heads and live there literally rent free, because once they've said it, it's gone. But it's us who are bringing it back and reliving it and having it in our subconscious often, that we've sometimes suppressed and we've blocked out of our minds. But when it's just you on your own, what are you saying to yourself? Really think about that. When it's just you and no one else, when the radio's not on, it's interesting, actually. Marcia and I did a podcast about a year and some ago, and there was an Asian friend of ours who we were interviewing, and he was talking about it in the Asian community. And of course, he's a guy, so it was difficult for him to express, but he talked about playing a lot of music and tracks to block out the distractions and other thoughts he had in his head. And he knew he was doing it. It wasn't a thing that he did subconsciously. He knew he was doing it, but even it made me think about the times when I'm having so many distractions and waiting for someone else's comments or approval or applause before I do something, and go, okay, if they said it's good, it must be good, because they've been here longer than me. And that's exactly what I did with my former partner, because I thought, well, he's been here longer. He must know what's appropriate. He must know what's great in music because he's from the States. He must know. I had this pedestal and hierarchy for everybody else except myself. I didn't even place myself anywhere, to be honest. So a lot of my old pictures, when I look back, I know where I was at that time. And for those who have met me now, they're kind of like, well, I don't really understand how you weren't this person. The change literally was that I understood myself. I understood myself, and I started to realize the very things that has always been in me are the very things that I need to give to others. And it's not about pressuring myself to write a song. It's not about pressuring myself to do anything. It's about just being, showing up, actually. And showing up to those events 6 days a week, sometimes 7, that was part of it. Being me. Sometimes people will come into the events to see me, not as my friend, but they came to see me because they liked my energy. And I still didn't really understand that for a very long time afterwards. But then I would get it because I'd come home so drained, even when I hadn't spoken much, even when I hadn't done much. It was the energy and the presence that people were coming for. So here in the UAE, I have been on stage. I have been fortunate to speak at things like Sharjah International Book Fair, this nice yellow flyer that you'll see there. My mum actually was fortunate to be here just before the lockdown, where I did my very first speaking engagement. And so the list goes on. I've been able to do so many things, but coming to a new place, but being faced with the exact same emotions and situations as before, triggered a growth in me. And I had to go through a toxic relationship to have that moment. But I'm sharing this with you because it doesn't need to take a toxic relationship. It doesn't need to take a tragedy. It doesn't need to take a redundancy. It doesn't need any of these things, which, in my opinion, I've had redundancy happen to me actually twice, and I loved it. I was actually quite early in my career stages, straight after university, but at different points in people's lives when they've gone through redundancy, of course, I'm not comparing anyone's lifestyles or choices or obviously employment. But what I am saying is sometimes you can turn, as Marcia says, the pain into champagne, because there are facts that will remain. And at the end of it, you have to have the relationship with yourself and what's going on in your mind to rise above it. No one's saying it needs to look pretty or shiny or glossy. It needs to look like what it needs to look like for you. And if that's crying sometimes, if that is having a meltdown, whatever it looks like, being aware of where you are and acknowledging your feelings is key. Because when you don't know what you don't know, fine, okay? You do as best as you can until you know better. But when you actually know better and you're aware of your behaviors, you can start to make the changes. You can start to overcome. You can start to make contacts. You can start to release and let go and shed. So I share this with you because it was such a light bulb moment. And sometimes it was, for me, the easiest of things that was staring me in the face the entire time, but I just wasn't doing. So I ask you, who are you? We get asked this all the time when we go to networking events, or, we're in a job and someone says, oh, what do you do? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, at the moment, so many of our titles have changed during the pandemic, right? So you're now working remotely and you're doing this, you're doing that. You're just trying to keep your sanity. But pause all of that for a second. Focus right now. Give yourself this next 5-10 minutes to literally think and ponder whilst I'm talking, if you can multitask. Or pause this video. If you're watching the replay later, you might actually need to pause it and come back. But right now, whilst we're live, I want you to think, who are you? Who are you? What is it that you want? What is it that you're allowing to take control of your life? What is it that you're putting the needs of, like your needs, their needs, everyone else's? Who are you? I want to remind you and encourage you, because you are not here by accident. There is only one of you, and it's literally 110% your duty to figure out what your purpose is and serve the world. And when I say your purpose, it's not this grand thing that you uncover one day with, sparkles and glitter. Sometimes it is the literal thing that all your friends and family have been telling you you're great at, and you've shrugged it off. If you don't enjoy it, 100%. But if you enjoy it and you're not doing it, absolutely, you owe it to yourself to figure out what that is. No one on this earth, literally, is you. You are the only version of you. There is one of one on this earth right now, and you are here for a limited time, and you have to figure it out. Now, that's not to put the pressure on, but it's just to kind of wake you up. And maybe you already know and you think, well, I'm doing my purpose, it's fine, blah, 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 and there's still things you want to work on. Okay, cool, that's great. But as one of my friends like to tell me, she saw the upgrade of me going from 1.1 to version 2.0. And I think it was in the transition of coming out of that relationship. But she said I came back and I was very sharp. I kind of put a lot of barriers up, but I think at that time I was also like, I don't have time to waste. I don't want to let certain people in. But she saw a transition in me. And more recently, I've been told I've now upgraded to version 3.0. So I say that with all jokes aside, but honestly, for yourself, you have to remember that you are one of one, okay? You're the only one with your fingerprint. You're the only one with your iris. You're the only one with your DNA. There may be very many similarities, of course, with family or, a stranger on the other side of the world who looks almost identical to you. But guess what? It's your fingerprint and your DNA that makes you you. And no one can walk the walk, talk the talk. No one can know what's inside your head except you. And when that light bulb moment goes off for you, you walk with a different air of confidence. And I think that's what a lot of people started seeing in me. They started understanding that because I just got it. And there wasn't this efforting to be or to please and to try to, I just was like, oh, I can just be myself. And if you like it, great. If you don't, okay, I can't help you, but great. Like, do you? And that was such a weight lifted off my shoulders. And I implore you to think about that and know that about yourself as well, because you are amazing. You are great. You have so many talents and you have to share them, because I hate to break it to you, but your gifts are not for you. They're given to you and they belong to you. So you are the one who have to actually use them, but they're for the world. And when people say that, like, go out and be great in the world, it's like, oh, it sounds a bit fluffy, but literally you're supposed to be serving the world. And so if you're out here with anxiety and thinking, but oh my God, and this guy, I spent months inside worrying about the dude, literally. And I used to get quite frustrated and angry, and it was be a definite triggering point. So I know I've worked very far from that because I can laugh now, but I was not laughing literally for about a year. People would speak to me and I was very tense, and they'd go to hug me and I'd be like, hi. I was so closed. So I'm much more open now, but I honestly share this with you because I want you to know that you have to be you, and you have to go out and share with the world, whether that's one person, 100 people, or 1 million people. You can't get in your own way and block your own blessings. So I want to remind you that you are enough, okay? If you haven't seen the tears and that's not convinced you, I want to remind you, honestly, you are enough. You might not feel like it on the days where maybe your hair's not done, your makeup's not done, you haven't got that suit on, whatever it is, you are enough, okay? Now, I'm very aware of the time here, but I just want to touch on a couple of things before I close and get you to think about another thing. How many thoughts do you have per day? Just think about that. Maybe 1,000, 2,000. I mean, you might not know the actual number, but I'm thinking of the average general. What does the average person have? Okay. Well, the average person has a staggering 12 to 60,000 thoughts per day. Okay. And as fast as my mind runs, I can believe that, because I'm like, well, it explains why I'm so tired a lot of the times. But seriously, if you see the middle part where it says 80% of them are negative thoughts. Again, when I first learned some of these things, it was mind-blowing, because I'm like, right, I see. When people say positive affirmations and they're talking about being uplifting, and this is why, because if you don't check this and check yourself, and nobody else checks you, then you've got 80% on average negative thoughts running through your mind every single day. Do you know how exhausting that is? It's very exhausting. And that is why at times you can have the anxiety, the depression, the worry. So many things that are going on in your mind, and it's busy, 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 but you're thinking, I haven't done much because I've been on the sofa. Yeah, because you're draining all your energy with negative thoughts. So you've got to learn about ways to change that up. And so, as I shared with you earlier, I put a course together and a book, which I'll touch on later, to help people overcome, because there are different ways that I realized I was getting back into old habits. And now I'm much more self-aware. But at the time, I couldn't really understand, how did I get back to square one? Like, what's going on? But I developed a framework which looks at things like reflection and asking yourself the difficult questions like I've been doing throughout here, and then taking accountability and responsibility for it, going into releasing it, rounding that off, having routines and things in place. You don't have to write on your mirror like I did, but whatever it is that makes it work for you. These are the kind of things that we look at, and then we refine it. And it's called the Reclaim It Your Power cycle. So I'm not going to get too much into that. But as I mentioned, we reflect a little bit. And then we work together. It's a group coaching course. So we work together to kind of empower each other and understand, okay, what is going on? What are the things that I can actually control? And what are the things that are definitely annoying, pressuring, depressing, triggering, etc. But these are the things that I cannot change. And here's possibly what I'm going to do about it. So I want you to have a little think about who or what you've been giving your power to. Maybe that is the pandemic and you've been watching the news every day with the statistics and the vaccines or whatever it may be. No judgment, but just an awareness of where your attention is going. Maybe it's someone in your household, someone at your workplace. Maybe it's your next door neighbor who's driving you crazy. Who are you giving your power and your energy to? Okay. I told you you're going to need pen and paper, didn't I? So throughout the 6-week workshop, we look at things like your fuel. And as you can see here, we talk about your food, your unit, your environment, the things you're listening to, because all of this is what's fueling you. Okay, it's not just what you're eating. And of course, I know you're not a car, but you put the right fuel into a car to make it perform the best. This is exactly what you need to do for yourself. This is the type of self-care we look at. Of course, our environment at the moment is bombarded daily with some sort of ridiculous politics or celebrity news, and of course, our lovely friend pandemic. But I want you to think about the things that might be distorting your view, you know, the view that you have of yourself. Because if you go back to the little you, and the reason why it was little Lee actually is because my government name is actually Leanne. Kai is a stage name. And when I first got here a week, because it was literally 1-2 days, fast forward very quickly to 6 days a week. And the change of people literally every day was like a revolving door. So I've made some fantastic friendships and leveraged those. But most of those people met me as Kai. So that's where the stage name comes from. But think back to your little self, okay? Because if you think back to your little self and you talk to that person, are you looking after him or her? Are you having things that are giving you a distorted view compared to the little Bob or the little Jane? Just have a think about that, because I'm sure if you go back to your little self, or if you've got any pictures or baby pictures or whatever, you'll be able to see that that child, I don't know, maybe it was an up and down childhood, maybe it was a happy childhood, but there was something in there before all of this other stuff, you know? So think about what's distorting that view. Because life absolutely is a game, and you've got to play it to win, okay? And that's not to say that every day is going to be about laughing or games or jokes, but we need to find ways to hack the system. We need to find ways to have coping mechanisms and perform at our best, to show up in the world as our best and build our confidence. Because when you do that, you feel amazing. And I'm not saying that every day is a bed of roses, but what I am saying is you can go to bed at night at least knowing that you've made decisions that you felt are right for you, not for this person, not for that person, or whoever has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion, because talk is cheap. They're going to talk if you're doing good. They're going to talk if you're not. So let people talk, and you just have to focus on what you believe. And that at least will solve some of the problems. And everything else, well, there's a strategy to tackle that. And hopefully, as we build on this journey, whether we work together, you know, whether we connect in the comments, whatever it may be, we can find ways to tackle life and play it to win, because it's like a game. And the time is, of course, now. I don't know if any of you guys feel like it, but it's 2022, and I feel like 6 months has just vanished. Like, where was last summer? So you are in control of your life and your mind. Don't forget that, okay? There are external forces, but you are in control of what you consume. And you can choose to consume some things, or you can take them out. So you might want to take a quick screenshot or screen grab of this, or of course, if you are watching the replay, you might want to pause and take this, because these are some really cool things that you can do to perk up your mood if you ever find that you're in a bit of a rut, hopefully not for too long, or if you're in a bit of a frustrating situation. There are natural things like going for a walk, getting out into some sunlight that gives us the same chemicals and releases of energy that happy pills, I suppose, give you as well. So without taking any kind of medication or any kind of additional substances, there are natural things that you can do to make yourself feel great and to check in with yourself and just know how you're feeling and get back to it really quickly, as opposed to dwelling for days on end. So I just want to let you know that comparison is the thief of joy, by Theodore Roosevelt, one of my very, very great quotes there that I love. So I always use one of these in my presentations. And I just want to remind you to listen to yourself, listen to your inner voice, take advice from yourself, take advice from others, of course, but definitely have it with a pinch of salt, because you are in control of your life and of your mind. And when you do that, you build so much confidence. Daily, the self-development that you'll be on is not a one-time thing. It's a constant practice. And the more that you do that, the more that you go forward, you will learn to love yourself and just be and show up. And every time you're doing that, you're shining and presenting and being so great that it literally is contagious to other people. And you inspire others, people that you probably may never even speak to, but they see you, they hear you, they feel you, and they are rooting for you. Okay. So as I touched on earlier, I do have a group coaching course coming up, and it is called Reclaim Your Power, with the framework that I mentioned. The program is all about tapping into your greatest self. And some of the tools that I worked on and shared with my friends was looking at your strengths and understanding where you're at. That's actually a self-assessment that I do at the end of each year, to be honest with you. So I look at my strengths, my weaknesses, opportunities and threats. As you know, some of you might be familiar with the SWOT analysis, which is not just for business. You can do it on yourself. And there's some other tools like writing on your mirror, which you don't have to do. But there are definitely some very, very powerful ones that I talk about in the course. And we do it in a group so we can learn from each other and mirror each other as well and be vulnerable and open together. You're not alone. And the next one is starting on the 7th of February. So if you are interested, we'll look at tackling your self-doubt, negative thoughts, and how to overcome and affirm the greatest person within you. This is for you if you are feeling lost at the moment. This is definitely for you if you're feeling a little bit confused, or perhaps you're not lost or confused, but you're definitely struggling with mental health, and you know that there are some unkind things that you're saying to yourself. And sometimes that's not even easy to admit, because I've even had conversations, and I suppose many years ago, I wouldn't admit to people that I talk to myself. I think now self-help, mental health is very much a buzzword in the last couple of years, thanks to the pandemic, actually, because it's been quite taboo in some areas. But if you're still perhaps struggling to even admit that you do have dark thoughts, this could be for you, because it's a place where we openly talk about it, actually, and sometimes joke about the things that we say to ourselves in the mirror, whether it's a good thing or a funny thing or whatever. It's a safe space. But if you want to build your confidence up, if you are not quite sure what you enjoy anymore, if you've kind of lost yourself along the way and you're just doing what everyone else wants, and you've literally got no idea what makes you happy, we've got tools for that. So for the next 48 hours, there is an amazing early bird offer. So if you are watching this live, snap this down as well, and do get in touch with me so we can have a talk. If you get in touch with me on Instagram, at I am simply Kai, in my link in the bio, you are able to book a discovery call with me. It's 30 minutes free, and we can have a chat. I may be able to work with you, and vice versa. We can complement each other, or perhaps it's not something that might work. However, I am definitely here to open and share, as you've seen. Hopefully it won't be another tearful session, but I'm here to listen to you and find out where you're at. And of course, if I can help, I will, and direct you in the right place. If not, then I will definitely point you in the right direction. Perhaps you might want to go to a therapist and have deeper counseling and things for some deeper traumas that you need to work on and have healed. But the point is, it's about talking and opening up the dialogue and the channels, and then getting steered into the right direction. If I'm the right one, and if this program is for you, then let's do it, because the time is now. And before you know it, it's going to be Easter, and we will literally be here thinking, how did I get here? Guilty. I've done that many times. So if you have taken a snapshot of that, great. If not, I'll give you another few seconds. Okay. And the tools that I have spoken about, some of them are in this self-help book, because when I did actually start to uncover my amazing talents, I had some very supportive friends who, of course, are going to be in your environment. And we do talk about that in the course, but I had two of them support me, and one in particular who was amazing at helping this workbook come together. So it's available on Amazon. I Am What I Say I Am, and it's a simple guide and workbook that helps you to tap into your self-doubt and gives you some tools like free affirmations that you can recite, or even a page where you can write your own affirmations and stick that on a wall and use that as daily guidance to really start to have different routine to make a change. So perhaps the course isn't for you, or it's a little bit out of budget at this moment, or you're not able to commit at this time, but this workbook is flexible and available at Amazon.com, Amazon.co.uk, and most platforms around the world. You can get it delivered to you worldwide. So you can check that out. And it's also on Kindle. So if you are one who doesn't want the hard copy version, you can get onto the device. And that is actually me. And exhale. So thank you so much for listening. I have been your speaker for the last maybe 45 minutes. And my name is Kai. I am here to help. I'm here to share. If you've got any questions, please get in touch. You can see my website and all my handles there. Instagram, you'll find a ton of inspiration and reels and guides also to help you. But please do drop me a comment or a DM and let's start the conversation. But if you are ready now, click the link in the bio and connect with a discovery call. It's free, it's 30 minutes, and let's see how I can help. Oh, and take a picture if you need this.
Thank you so much, Kai. I think you literally had us all in tears. I've got my tissue here. And this just goes to show, doesn't it, that this is something live. And, you know, I have watched you through your journey. And I met Kai probably when she had already arrived at a point where she was beginning to understand her power and who she truly is. And so for me to watch you today share your story with emotion, this just shows the realness. So I personally am super duper proud of you. You know, it's nothing to feel embarrassed about, because at the end of the day, this is real. This is what we do. This is real. This is not staged. These are real people talking about real experiences and real stories, and how they have taken those real stories and turned them around to help others. As you said, quite rightly so, you know, we have God-given gifts and talents, but they're not just for us, you know. And I know in the conversations we've had, you know, you've talked about the fact that you're so multifaceted and that you don't need to be boxed into one thing. We've
Never.
had many, many conversations where you've struggled because people want to see you as one thing. No, you're not one thing. You are many things and you do it well. And so why not celebrate that? So amazing. Thank you so much. And we've had some fantastic comments of people wanting to hug you, people wanting to send you virtual tissues.
I'm like, I don't have tissue. Like, I'm looking around, I'm thinking, well, where's my tissue box? I've moved it, ironically, because I'm like, I'm not going to need that, clearly. But now I'm thinking, what does my makeup look like? I'm trying to read the comments.
Yeah, I mean, very, very powerful story. You know, for me, as I listened, and you know, there were a couple of things, but at what point did you feel you were ready to actually share your story? Because obviously, from today, you can see it's still something that is it's painful. It's something that goes deep. And so what was the shift? When did you feel ready that you could actually share that with the world?
Do you know what? It's funny because right now I wouldn't even say that it's tears of pain. And it's great that you mentioned it, because it used to be. very much. And I'm definitely not embarrassed right now. I'm literally just thinking, I feel so warm. Like I have flutters and stuff and I don't have the tissues. That's what's going through my mind. But they're honestly tears of joy. And that sounds maybe even a bit cheesy, but it's the relief, because I'd said to you before we got on, when I looked at those pictures, I was like, I don't really even look back at those very often. What I see is a lot more of them the last, maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years. You know, people say happy birthday, Merry Christmas, all that stuff. So I've seen people recently even going back home, but looking at my old pictures where I was actually smiling in most of them, but I know that I was lost. And every year I used to tell my friends, it's that time again. I feel odd. Didn't know what it was. So now it feels like such a release, actually, and they're happy tears. And I'm also trying to remember what I'm saying. I'm thinking next slide, but it's good. It's good because I know that whatever happens today, if no one was to contact me on Instagram or whatever, someone watching this today or next week got what they needed to get. And I think that's kind of what's kept me going, because I used to get so down on myself before and go, okay, great. Well, I'm not good then. Yep, no one booked, or, you know, I didn't get that gig. Yeah, I can't sing. 100%. Like the drastic levels of, you know, beating myself up were ridiculous. And I can say it now, but I would never admit it to people before. And I think I even got a bit emotional realizing as well that there probably is a family member watching this. And they're, of course, going to think that I was always okay, because I always insisted. And I was never starving and all of those things. But you know what it's like. We're abroad. You don't want your friends at home to worry. Everything actually is okay. But is it? Because the lights are on and it looks like everything's intact. But in here is the battlefield, and it's exhausting. You wake up and you're like, oh, I'm here again. And you sleep 100%. And you're not actually getting rest, you know? So it feels great to let it out.
Fantastic. We've got a comment here from Dee. She says, totally amazing, Kai. I feel like I've known you forever. Your podcast with Marcia religiously. I listen to your podcast with Marcia religiously and I would tune in. Amazing story. And I did not hold back on my tears. So as you can see, you know, we do what we do because we know it makes a difference. And as Kai has shared today, it's not about people signing up for her course. It's about spreading her voice, making sure that, you know, someone doesn't have to go through what she went through. If she can reduce that pain somehow, then that she's done her job. She's fulfilled her purpose on this earth. So, Kai, I know you have told us how we can get hold of you. So we will drop her details again in the comments at I Am Simply Kai on Instagram. You can connect with her. You can also go onto Amazon to find her book, which is I Am What I Say I Am. And if you want to connect with her to find out a little bit more about her course that will be starting in February, Reclaim Your Power, please do reach out. Thank you so much, Kai. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to speak to you guys some more.
Thank you. So coming up next, we have the amazing Akua, aka Teresa Powell. Teresa is also a special, beautiful soul that has been in my life for about 9 years. I actually met Teresa when she arrived in the UAE on the first day. And as they say, the rest is history. I'm super excited for her to share her story with you, talking about how you too can create the life that you desire and dream. She's going to share how she has gone from an employee to the CEO of her own company. So without further ado, I will open the floor to Teresa Powell.
Akua, aka Teresa Powell, a fabulous 50-year young female of Jamaican parentage. Her own personal life experiences has inspired her to dare to dream and embark on a life-changing journey from HR leader and coach to founder and CEO of Dreamcatcher Global. Combining over 20 years of human resources expertise with her passion-fueled extraordinary travel experiences, you'll find Akua a unique individual with a unique skill set that serves to inspire people from all walks of life. Having travelled to 69 countries across the globe, where her sense of adventure and willingness to step outside of her comfort zone has led her to where she is today. With a passion for people and a love of travel, she became intentional in wanting to cultivate a more purposeful life. Welcome to Dreamcatcher Global, where her mission is to inspire individuals to unleash all the beliefs, behaviours and habits that prevent them from living the life of their dreams. She wants them to emerge from a Dreamcatcher program or experience feeling empowered, unstoppable, focused, energized and ready to take on the next chapter of their lives. Dreamcatcher, helping you to design the life you desire and deserve.
Wow, hello. Wow. That is a manifestation right there, seeing those words on the screen and hearing Marcia's beautiful voice give me an intro. So I just want to say hello, everyone, from wherever you're in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I'm just really humbled to be here, to be honest. I feel so very privileged, and I want to say thank you to both Kai and Marcia for giving me this opportunity to share my story and this wonderful journey of transformation that I'm currently in. So I just want to start off by saying that I'm feeling great, and I'm having to contain myself because I am full of energy right now, and I'm always full of energy, and I like to move around, and ideally I'd be in a room with you all, standing up and feeling your energy too. But we've got to make this work over Zoom, and it means that, of course, and I say Zoom, this live stream, but that also gives an opportunity for people to of course join us from all over the world. So let's embrace that and be thankful for that. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story today, but I want to start by saying that for me, we embark on a new year, but definitely 2021 was an epic year for me, and I would say that I call it the year of 50, but it's probably been the best year of my entire life, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a second. So I have put some slides together, and the sort of person that I am, I may well sort of veer off them a bit because I just want to passionately share with you today. But please, I also want to feel that interaction, so please drop into the comments as well. And with no further ado, let's start off by letting you know a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today. And I want to just talk to you a bit about creating the life you desire and deserve. I hope you are able to see my slides here. Perfect. There you go. So first of all, I've been introduced as Akua, and there's been this AKA Teresa Powell, and you're all wondering, well, what was all that about? And that is part of my journey. That is part of my new beginning. And as I go through, I'm going to explain to you a bit about why I love to be called Akua and why I believe that's kind of more fitting for me where I am in my life. But I think most importantly, I want to kind of give you a sense of what today is all about. And in doing that, I've come across this quote from somebody called William James. And the quote basically says, "The greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Basically, as you think, so shall you be." So with that in mind, I just want you to think about this slide, think about what it said, and I want you to hold this as I walk you through my story. And I want you to also hold this and take it with you when I finish my presentation to you and my story, because this is such a powerful thing to know, and it basically is very much life-changing. So let's do and talk a little bit about who I am. So as you know, I am Akua, aka Teresa Powell, and I am the founder and CEO of Dreamcatcher Global. And of course, I'll tell you a little bit more about that shortly. I am a neuro-holistic programmer. So in terms of, there's a type of coaching that really is very much based about the brain and your thinking. And I've been certified in that particular method of practice. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that can help transform your life and how that has transformed my life. I'm also a HR leader and a HR expert. But again, there is a story behind that. As you know, as Marcia just said in my introduction, I've just literally stepped out of my, I guess, employee kind of role. I have a few days left, actually. Next Tuesday will be my last day as an employee. And I move forward with building my dreams, which is Dreamcatcher Global. And then a little bit more about me. Travel. As you can see right there, there's a beautiful picture of me. It's taken probably about 5 years ago, and it was taken in Bhutan, a very small country that is not far from Nepal. It's one of those extraordinary places I visited, and I'll tell you a bit more about those extraordinary places, but that is one of 68 countries that I visited. I say 69 actually, so with that one, it's 69 countries in total. And I'm known for, I guess, disrupting limiting beliefs. You know, we all have stories. We've all lived lives that are kind of come about through our conditioning. And, you know, we have to change that status quo. We have to change that narrative. And I'm all about disrupting. And I'm also known for other things like helping people overcome fear and break out of their comfort zones. And I'm very much about breaking out of comfort zones. I feel like I've been doing that all my life. And it's something that I do as I move forward in my 50s. I continue to step out of my comfort zone. And I'm also all about empowering people to live a life that they desire and they deserve. And I really want to inspire you, if you're not on that track, how you can go about doing that as you move forward. So just a bit more background, my story. So I am, if you can probably tell, from the UK, and I was born there, and that's where I spent the majority of my life until I came to the UAE. I was born in a town in the west of England called Bristol. And that's where I call home, and that's where both of my parents live at the moment and the majority of my family. My parents are both Jamaican. My mum came to the UK, I think she was around 9, and my dad would have come perhaps around 15. And so they've been here for a very long time. And in 1993, I left Bristol and I moved to London to go to university. Now, I wasn't necessarily planning to go to university. And I think, again, this was about me wanting to step outside of my comfort zone and do something different. So I was actually the first person in my family to go to university. And I've always had this love of travel. And I can recall probably by around the age of 8, a travel show. I don't know if those of you from the UK may well know, but it was called Wish You Were Here. And it was a travel show that I remember growing up. And I remember literally being so enamored by that program. And I would sit, and there'll be other people in the living room, but I was the only one that was giving it my full attention. And I remember that this show that was hosted by this this white woman at the time. That was the only kind of travel show I knew about. And she would take us to all places across the world. I think at the time it was mainly Europe. But I remember just being so still and so focused on this travel show. And I remember to the point where I would sort of almost feel like I was being transported into the TV, right? And I could end up almost smelling things on the TV. So if she was walking through a market where there were spices, I could vividly smell spices. And that was amazing. And so when I went to university, it was only natural for me to choose something that was all about travel. So my first degree was a bachelor's honours degree in leisure and tourism management. From there, a lot had happened, and fast forward to 2012, as Marcia mentioned, 9 years, 1 month ago, and 20 days precisely, I arrived in the UAE. And I think for me, I was always a bit itchy, and so leaving Bristol and going to London for me was a big step, and that was sort of leaving my hometown, leaving my family and stepping out of my comfort zone, although I had family and friends also in London. And while I was in London, of course, I did my degree, but I finished my degree thinking that I was going to get this glamorous job that would allow me to travel the world. And I ended it for a very short stint working in a travel agent. And I just said, this is not for me. I did not do this to send people on glamorous trips while I'm sat behind a desk in a travel agency. So I ended up falling, I guess utilizing some secretarial skills that I actually had and started to do some temping. And through that, I actually fell into HR. So HR was not a career that I chose. I believe HR chose me, and I've been in HR ever since. So it was HR that really took me to Abu Dhabi. And I remember it would have been in 2011, I had decided that I wanted to at least consider living abroad. I think for me, for those of you who live in London, I just remembered being in this rat race. And I remember every day getting on the London Underground, being squashed. And just by the time I got to work, I was just not feeling happy. I'd been squashed on this tube. I had to stand up. It was just hectic. And I remember thinking to myself, there must be more to life than this. I cannot see myself doing this, until I retire. And I remember that year, I actually went to Barbados with my mum. And while I was there, I hooked up with some expats there. And, they would go to the beach after work and, they would have this fantastic lifestyle. So I got back from Barbados. That was about June 2012. And I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 6 months to find a job somewhere overseas. The only prerequisite was that it was warm. I didn't know where I was going to go. But, roll on 6 months later, I landed in Abu Dhabi. And, I took the steps to update my LinkedIn profile. And I remember seeing a job advertised on my profile, on the LinkedIn profile, that was with New York University. They had a new campus that they were building in Abu Dhabi, and they were looking for somebody who was a specialist in employee relations. And so there I am, and here I am. And that was amazing. That brought me here, and that allowed me to see the world through a new lens. That allowed me to meet people from all walks of life. And that also allowed me to do what I enjoy most of, was actually travel. And one of the things that and one of the things I didn't say, by the way, and I think you've heard it, is I'm 50. So I'm doing all of this right now and talking about, the year of 50. I'm making all of these changes at the age of 50. So it's just a stark reminder to everyone that it's never too late and life is too short. And if there's something that you want to do, go for it. And, remember that the world is your oyster. So moving on from that, coming here, I think one of the main things that I really enjoyed was the opportunity to travel. And coming here is a fantastic hub, right? It's this hub where, you can go to India for a weekend. You can go to Nepal. All those things that are quite exotic when you're based in, I guess, the UK, are literally at your fingertips when you come here. And, I decided that I wanted to start doing more traveling. And traveling wasn't anything that was new to me, by the way. I embarked on my first solo trip, I believe it was in 1994. I remember thinking that I wanted to travel, and, you wait around for friends. You try and find people who want to go somewhere with you. And it was just that it wasn't the right time for other people. And I just thought, if I don't go on my own, if I don't go by myself, I'm never going to go. So that was my first travel experience that was solo. And that was Egypt. And so when I got here in Abu Dhabi, I knew that one of the things that I wanted to do is embark on more travel. And so what I found myself doing is literally trying to find like-minded people, first of all, and then recognizing that actually I really wanted to travel off the beaten track. And I actually prioritize travel, because people say to me, how have you managed to travel to 69 countries and you have a full-time job? You have this job as a HR leader. And I basically said, it's about what you make a priority. And so I would take weekend trips. I would use my vacation days very strategically to sort of tag on long weekends and go to lots of fabulous places. And I was also quite intentional about choosing places that I knew I'd be stretched and that I'd grown. So while I love beaches and I like to chill out, I'm also very much into seeking out adventures and also kind of pushing myself. And, that has allowed me to travel to some places that, gosh, when I think about where I've been in the world and where I'm from, I'd never think that I'd travel to any of those places. And they have been soul nourishing. They have been places that have allowed me to really grow and connect with the most amazing people. So here I am, in the UAE and working for this great prestigious institution. I'm working extremely hard in a very demanding and challenging job, but I'm being recognized and rewarded for my hard work. So very quickly, I find myself climbing this ladder of success. I go from employee relations manager when I first started to assistant director shortly after. From there, I went to associate director. I then went to director. And then today, I sit here as Deputy Chief Human Resources Officer for NYU Abu Dhabi. So in terms of, society and everything else, I've done really well. I have a fantastic job. I earn very good money. I'm able to travel the world. I live in a great apartment on an island called Sadia Island. And for some people, that would be enough, right? And it's not about me being greedy in any way, but it's really about, well, why am I really here? And what is it that I really want to get out of life? Because I think for me, I learned a lot about myself and who I am, particularly during this global pandemic. So when I think about it, there was a bit of a life-changing moment for me that would have been around early September 2019. And at that point in time, I was in New York on a business trip. Because, of course, I work for NYU, so I often went to New York on business trips. And I remember one day walking from a meeting back to my hotel, and I walked past a bookstore. I think it was called Barnes and Noble. It's a big kind of well-known bookstore in the States. And I was drawn into this bookstore because I remember listening to some kind of Super Soul Sunday with Oprah that talked about a particular book and an author. She always does these book reviews. And I thought, actually, this is a great opportunity for me to buy this book. So I went into the bookstore and I ended up buying 3 books. One book was about African proverbs, and it was God's Best Gift is Life. Another book was called The Book of Awakening by a poet called Mark Nepo. And it basically it was broken down into 365 days. So you're able to read a segment a day. And the last book was a book it was called 100 Days of Gratitude. And it was a journaling book. And for me, journaling was something that I had tried to do many times. And I was just not consistent. I even went to workshops on journaling, but I just couldn't do it. But I was willing to give it a go. And so here I was, armed with these 3 books, and I made my way back to the UAE. And on September the 28th, 2019, I wrote my first journal entry. And, I'm proud to say that I've been journaling every day since, and it really has been life-changing. Because what I actually ended up doing is using that opportunity to create a space for me to kind of grow. And I listened to an audio book called The Miracle Morning. And with that audio book, I was able to establish a morning routine. So I'd get up earlier than normal, and that was my uninterrupted time. And I would meditate. And I hadn't meditated before, by the way, not very successfully. So I remember downloading the Headspace app. And I remember my first kind of meditation was for 1 minute. And that's where you start. You start small, right? And then you sort of work your way up. So I had this very basic app that was very much in plain English. It was no all of that kind of airy fairy stuff. It was basic meditation in real English. And then I had this Book of Awakening. So I would read an excerpt of that each day. And that would help in terms of maybe providing words of wisdom, and also have maybe some beautiful quotes from very inspirational individuals. And then I would journal, of course. And that routine is something that I continue to do until this day. And I believe for me, that has been the catalyst for my transformation. It has been absolutely amazing. And so don't underestimate the power of creating that space for yourself in the mornings. And now actually what I do is I also use that space for personal development. So I use that space to also read, to listen to podcasts and do many other things, which has helped me in my growth and to help me really cultivate a mindset that is all about growth. So with that in mind, you know a little bit about my miracle morning, but let me actually sort of fast forward a bit to the end of December. And so in December 2019, I, as part of my travels, decided that I would like to go to Ghana. And I actually did Ghana, Benin, and Togo all in one. And I had no idea that going to Ghana would be such a spiritual and transformative experiences. I've been to many countries on the continent, and actually it's my most traveled continent. Africa is. I have a love of Africa. I actually have been fortunate enough to have 2 homes there, it's just been amazing how my life has panned out. But going to Ghana in 2019 was again more transformation. I went down to the Ashanti region with a local guide, and he took me to a local village where I met the chief of the village, and I also met the village elders. And while I was there, I was lucky enough to be given some beautiful Ghanaian cloth, and I was able to have that, I was sort of styled and all of that with a head wrap on. And they invited me to my own naming ceremony. They wanted to sort of give me back my African name. They saw my journey as a rite of passage, as a welcome home. And I was honored and privileged when, they got the drums out, there was drumming and music, and I had one of the elders actually wash my feet. And so they gave me the name Akua Bahama, and it actually means helper and leader. And at the time, I was obviously humbled and very grateful for the ceremony, but I don't think that it really sort of dawned on me about that, what that really meant, and how significant that particular moment would be as my life moved forward. And, before we knew it, the pandemic started in March of 2020, here in Abu Dhabi anyway. And then, of course, I remember being on holiday with my beautiful niece, Michaela. We were in the Philippines, and I remember we had to rush back because it was this need to leave the country before we were locked in. And that in itself was an adventure. But I got back here and, we were actually in remote working mode, and we've been in remote working mode literally for the entire time, only recently returning to work. And I used that time to really grow. I used that time to kind of find out more about who I am as an individual, to really think about my own personal development, and to kind of think about what I wanted to do next in life. It was very clear that I was at a point in my life that I felt that I couldn't go any further in work. I felt that I'd kind of reached the kind of HR glass ceiling, so to speak. I'd also recognized that I wasn't as fulfilled anymore in my role, and I wasn't happy in my role. But there was this whole, you've got this fantastic salary. You've got, all of the trappings of success, so to speak. So why would you leave? And I know that's why a lot of people actually stay in their roles, because of this security, right? The fear of stepping out into the unknown and what that might mean. And so it took me a while. And what I had to do is really work on myself through meditation and through my own self-development. I had to work on my fears. I had to kind of almost wire my own brain to recognize that, I can do anything that I can put my mind to. I think about where I've come from and where I'm coming from right now, the way that society has kind of labeled all of us, labeled our environments, labeled, the areas that we've grown up in, labeled maybe who our parents are, and labeled the schools that you went to and the friends that you have. Society probably said that someone like me should not have made it. And I don't think I've made it, but I've just kind of, I've utilized the opportunities. That's what I would say. I think everyone has opportunities, but it's about whether or not you're willing to take the risk and step outside of your comfort zone. And I obviously did that coming here to the UAE. I came on my own. I had no family. I knew at the time one person and her family. That was my sister-in-law's sister. But I was coming out here really to something completely new. But what I also was reminded was that, what is the worst thing that could actually happen, right? I go home. And so for me, it was really important to at least give it a go, because, there's this book that I've heard about, and I think it's kind of, the book is called something around the regrets of the dying. And one of the biggest regrets for those individuals was that they didn't live their lives authentically. They didn't take the risks that they should have taken or would have liked to have taken. And ultimately, they ended up at a point in life where it was, I wish I had. And for me, I'm very much about, let's just do it. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen? And things don't always go smoothly. Things don't always go to plan. But ultimately, it's important that, you know, you try and step out of your comfort zone, because there is a huge life, you know, on the other side of your comfort zone. It's beautiful. And it kind of reminds me a bit about skydiving. I remember coming to Dubai and I did some skydiving, and I remember, you know, putting on this front as I was sort of preparing and practicing. And I remember getting up there in the plane and, you know, thinking to myself, what have I done? Am I about to really go and jump out of a plane when I really actually also have a fear of heights? But I just thought, well, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to face my fear and I'm going to do it. I remember jumping out of that plane and remember like literally shitting myself. And then the parachute opened and I was kind of thrusted back up. And then everything just went quiet and I started to just soar. And it was just like, wow. My fear became my wings and I was free to fly. And that's very much how I've looked at my life moving forward. And, you know, right now it's all about, well, what is it you want to do in life? And what is next? And through those habits and practices of my miracle morning, I've recognized that, one, I want to be my own boss. I want freedom. Two, I want to do something where I can give back so that I can help empower other people. I can help empower communities. And something that, of course, is part of what I do to nourish myself, something that is travel related. And so for me, you know, I just dared to dream and I've just been thinking big. And everything that I have intentionally thought about, everything that I have visualized and has come to fruition, and it continues to do so. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about, you know, dream catcher and what that is. I'm going to talk a little bit more about things like manifestation and visualization, because I think that those are powerful tools. And I also want to talk to you a little bit more later on in terms of, you know, what it is to sort of, I guess, change your mindset and how powerful that is, because changing your mindset from a place where it's long lasting change is, as I said earlier, is absolutely life changing. But let me talk a little bit about the travel aspects of me and share with you just a little bit about some of the places that I've been to, and also about why I travel to places that really put me outside of my comfort zone. So I've got another slide here that I want to share with you. And I've been able to, through my travels, you know, I've had individuals reach out and ask me to write articles. So in this particular picture, I actually traveled to Saudi Arabia. And I saw a Saudi that was absolutely beautiful and very historical. And so, again, you know, if you listen to people, by the way, I'd never gone anywhere, to be honest, anywhere of interest. You know, people would say, oh, you can't go to Saudi, you're a woman, and all of these things. And actually, Saudi was one of the most amazing places that I've been to. Ethiopia is probably up there in my kind of top 3 places in the world. It's an incredible country. And I've been able to see so many parts of Ethiopia on many different trips and visits. I've gone to places like Djibouti, which is kind of like on the east coast of Africa. And as you can see, there's me, you know, literally walking with a caravan of camels. There's me again in Ethiopia, and that's down south in the Omo Valley. And I was able to go and get up personal with some of the tribes there. And this is the Hama tribe. It was a surreal experience. It almost felt like a kind of National Geographic experience. And here I am with this beautiful lady from another one of the tribes. You know, we might live different lives, but, you know, I felt like I was here smiling with my sister, although we were not able to speak the same language. But it's these types of experience that really have allowed me to grow. You've got me here at the top right in Myanmar, sitting in somebody's house, having this beautiful discussion that wasn't about words, but it was about body language, and it was about that universal smile. And for me, traveling and being able to, you know, really get up close and personal with people is just so beautiful. So, what I've done through my travels is I have ended up, actually having a Instagram page called Travelicious 2021. And, through this page, I have really been able to inspire individuals to really sort of step out of their wanderlust and, I guess, set their souls on fire, as I say. And that's what I want to do as part of my, Dreamcatcher Global Experience, is really get people to leap into a world of travel that they would never normally do. And my travel, as I said before, isn't necessarily always about staying in a glitzy hotel. I mean, for me, the most impactful travels that I have been those very, very simple experiences. There have been times, and most recently, a place called Socotra, which is off the coast of Yemen. It's part of Yemen. It's probably up there as probably one of my, I think it's my number one destination right now, but I spent the whole week in a tent, going from just epic to epic. And I remember when I got there thinking, okay, there are some of these places that there is no place to use the bathroom, right? And I remember thinking, for the first time in my life, age 50, I'm going to have to do a number 2 out in nature. It's just, but there are some people that wanted to do that, and that's why some people do miss out on these experiences, because they kind of limit themselves. But everyone, each to their own. But for me, this is where I've had the most growth. Just doing things where, all of those normal and modern trappings are gone, and I'm just thrusting myself into an environment that is totally different. And so, Dreamcatcher really is about stepping outside of your comfort zone. It really is around sort of facing your fears. And I want to sort of talk to you and share a little bit more about what Dreamcatcher has to offer. Also, knowing that, on Tuesday, as I said, is the last day that I'm employee. So all of this it really is now. It really is in this particular moment. I'm kind of going through this transformation as I speak. And for me, I want to continue to transform. I want to continue to grow. But Dreamcatcher, let me just tell you a little bit about that, because a lot of people have been saying to me, well, what does that mean? And what are you going to do? And I think it's also a stark reminder that for me, Dreamcatcher, I spent time, I guess, during the pandemic on personal and self-development. And I actually, was willing to invest in myself, and I ended up doing a couple of courses and also joining some online communities. One of them was one where it was actually the majority were based in Australia, so I had to make that commitment to actually rise every Thursday at 4 a.m. to be amongst like-minded women who were either business owners or had aspirations and dreams to start their own business. And this is where I came very much intentional about wanting to be an entrepreneur and have my own business. And this is where Dreamcatcher, I guess, was born. Now, as you can see from this slide, there is a logo here, and you've probably seen it on some of the other slides. And I just want to share with you a little bit about this logo too, because it's not random. It is something that is very, very significant, and it's something that I gave a lot of thought to. Now, you can see here this logo, it has Dreamcatcher at the end, but what it is a bit of a representation of a Adinkra symbol, which is a Ghanaian symbol, also known in the Ivory Coast in West Africa. And this particular symbol is an amalgamation of 2 Adinkra symbols, and it's called Sesa Wu Suban. And basically, what we have is the first symbol, which is, they call it the morning star, and it's that symbol in the very center. And that basically means transformation. And then what we have is the outer wheel, which is kind of synonymous for, I guess, continued growth, continued development. And for me, that is very much the ethos of Dreamcatcher and the ethos of what I'm trying to achieve. Now, I've been coaching for many, many years as a HR leader. And for me, what I've learned over my years of coaching in workplaces is really about mindset transformational coaching. And my ambition and desire through Dreamcatcher is to really help individuals personally and professionally through neuro-linguistic programming to understand the power of their thinking. And so if you can recall that slide at the very beginning, it goes back to you are what you think. And, that is such an important thing to remember. Another aspect that I want to also create as part of Dreamcatcher, and as you can see here, is Dreamcatcher Global, because I'm thinking big. I'm not limiting myself. I'm thinking global here. But another angle that I want to explore is online courses and workshops. So I want to really create unique programs to help people on their journey of self-discovery to reclaim their lives and create their own realities. Because at the end of the day, we are the creators of our own stories. We are the author. We are we're the painters of our own stories. And so we have to remember that we have the power within us to actually take control and make those changes. And then, of course, travel. I've really had a wonderful experience traveling to all of these countries, and I want to share with a small group of people. I want a very small, intimate group to be able to bring individuals into my world and kind of get a sense of how transformational travel can actually be. And it's, again, taking people out of their comfort zones. I mean, I've climbed volcanoes and I've climbed mountains, and I've been in those positions where, honestly, I've been scared out of my wits. And there are times when I've said to myself, what the heck am I doing? There are times when I've cursed down the place. But then there's this feeling, this great feeling of empowerment, this feeling of, I can do anything, once you get on the other side of that fear. And that's what I want to help women and other people do, is really get to the other side and just realize and let them understand just how powerful it can be to be on that other side. And then empowering community. I was lucky enough to have spent some time in Botswana at the end of 2020, going into the beginning of 2021. And I had my first week doing this kind of whole safari thing. And then the second week, I actually went to stay in a village in southern Botswana called Otsi Village. And it was amazing. And I met some amazing people, particularly young people that were trying to really make a difference in their communities. And we had a conversation and we exchanged details. And I remember saying that I want to keep in touch. I want to help you. I want to support you in any way I can, because I felt really inspired by what these young people were trying to do. And fast forward over a year later, we are very much connected. They see me as their mentor. I help them connect to people that I know that can help them, perhaps in fundraising, in team development, and in other areas. I'm a bit of a connector in that respect. And it's great just to see how much they have grown and how much, just the interaction that I've had with them, how that has impacted them and is also impacting their communities and their villages. So I want to do more of that. And I'm very intentional about doing that, because for me, as I said, it really is also about giving back. Now, I also want to just share some of this with you, because of course there's the coaching element, and I'm still in that setup stage. So things are not yet live, but there's ways that you can stay in touch with me, which I'll give to you at the end of this particular slot, so that I can sort of make sure that we can stay connected and you can see how things unfold as we move forward. But I think for me, it was also important to kind of give you some takeaways as part of this. And takeaways for me are really around self-development. Self-development doesn't have to be costly. It could be simply reading books or listening to audiobooks, podcasts and YouTube videos. And I must say, one of the things that I do self-development wise, when I go to the gym, I love listening to music, but you know what, 90% of the time I'm listening to a podcast. When I'm in the kitchen cooking, I'm listening to a podcast. Even when I'm showering in the morning, I'm listening to a podcast. So for me, it's really important to continue to grow and continue to develop yourself. And then, of course, there are things like this, where you've got your free online workshop and seminar. Again, keep yourself out there, keep up to date with what's happening, and, tap into those experts that are around to share their stories and share their techniques and their resources free. And then it's also about creating healthy and sustainable habits, because we know that it's a new year, and a lot of people believe in New Year's resolutions. I'm not one of them, to be honest. I'm a now person. If I want to do something, I'm doing it now, not waiting for a new year. But ultimately, there are some people that may have had New Year's resolutions, and kudos to you if you're on track. But there are some people that even by now may have fallen by the wayside. So think about things that are going to be sustainable. So, sharing, with you what I do, and meditation. And I think Kai's mentioned meditation earlier in her talk. Marcia, I believe, mentioned meditation, which she did her bit yesterday. So meditation is actually very, very powerful. And it's also an opportunity for you to be still and be present, because as Kai was saying, our thoughts, the thoughts that go around in our heads, oh, your brain is always racing, and it's bloody tiring. And so having that time to be still and present is a great thing to do. Journaling, well, that's transformed my life. It really has. And I think I'm on my journal book number 5 right now. Exercise, and it could be anything, simply from going to a walk, through weight training. If you're like me, I'm a bit of a gym addict, so I love working out. And you might be somebody who just likes things simply like painting, right? I know that here you have things like paint and sip, so you can actually combine drinking wine and actually painting. And then, of course, for me, goes back to that childhood of me sitting down and sort of daydreaming and sort of jumping into the TV and pretending I was there. See it, feel it, have it. I'm a big one when it comes to visualization and manifestation. And I just want to kind of give you maybe some hints and some tips as to how you can go about exploring that. One of the things that I've done, which has been a really powerful exercise, has been my perfect day. And it really is an opportunity for you to sit down and really think about, what is my perfect day really like? What would I really like my perfect day to be? And it's not about being here in this moment, but in the future, what is that like? And so, for example, for me, when I wrote down my personal day, and I'm not going to share everything because there's also this chocolate, lovely, handsome man in my personal day, so I'm not going to go too much into detail. But my personal day is so vivid. You know, it starts with me waking up and kind of smelling like the cotton, or the fresh cotton of my sheets, to sort of putting on my dressing gown and feeling kind of the silk on my skin, to sort of feeling the underfoot of the rug on my feet, to walking and like pulling back the curtains in the morning and feeling the fabric of the curtains, and sort of looking out to this beautiful view where it's this magnificent kind of ocean. So I have this beautiful ocean view. And then, you know, my perfect day then goes into a bit more detail where, you know, my chocolate companion comes up and stands behind me, and then we'll leave it there. But then, we move down into the kitchen, and I sort of walk down into this beautiful kitchen. I open a cupboard where there are so many different teas from all across the world, because I love tea. And then I talk to my assistant. I have this beautiful home office. We talk about my diary. I mean, it gets really specific, but that's such a great exercise. You really visualize, you taste, you touch, you smell. So I would definitely recommend that you think about doing that exercise, because it really is powerful. And in my mind, when I've done things like that, those visualizations have come to kind of manifest themselves for sure. And then when I talked about meditation, think about guided meditation. So there are meditations that you can download for free of charge on places like YouTube, where they are literally, visualization. So it's somebody sort of walking you through maybe a beautiful forest, and it's helping you to sort of think about the sounds and the smells in that forest, and the crunch of the leaves under your foot. It's so powerful. And then, think about what brings you joy, and really start to sort of visualize what that is, and really get specific doing that, because those things are very, very powerful. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a flavor, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to share my journey. I'm excited by my spiritual growth. It's taken a lot of courage to do what I've done, but it's courage that we all have within. But we also have to be self-motivated as well. I think that's very important. And so cultivating some of these kind of healthy, sustainable habits will help you sort of be accountable. And if you can't be accountable, maybe you need to find some sort of accountability partner. But I really recommend that you do this, because I personally, I really am living the dream. And I could have stayed in my job and continued to live, a little bit inauthentically, because I wouldn't have been happy in my job. But I've taken that step, and it's a leap of faith. But I believe in myself. I believe in my abilities. And I know that this is going to be a huge success. And I know that I'm going to be able to impact lives, not just here, not just at home with my family and friends, but also across the globe through some of the things that I'm doing. So I guess I'm literally more or less at the end of what I wanted to share with you today. just mentioned my contact information before. And so I do have an email address for my business, which is info@dreamcatcherglobal.co if you want to reach out. But otherwise, I'm on socials right now, and you can catch me either at Travelicious 2021, which is where you'll find all my travel stories, or at Dreamcatcher Global, where I'm building that platform and inviting followers to come along at the moment. And of course, through those platforms and channels, I'll be sharing more about the progress that I'm making through my journey of discovery and my journey of transformation and my dream of bringing Dreamcatcher to fruition. So on that note, I just also want to just leave you with this beautiful, and I wouldn't call it a quote, but I think it's something that I'd like you to all say aloud to yourselves, wherever you are. And it's about transformation. I am a powerful being capable of changing anything in my life. I welcome and embrace healthy changes into my life and to let go of old habits and practices that no longer serve me. I accept the necessary changes that need to take place in my life, and I let go of fear and worry. Every day, I grow more beautiful and strong in my life, and I am as free as a butterfly. My life is unfolding perfectly. And this is by a beautiful woman called Carly Marie. So thank you all for being here. I hope that you were inspired. I hope that you found something within this session that will help you in your journey of transformation. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out and connect. And thank you so much.
Wow, Akua, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation and for your willingness to be open about your journey. You know, as a personal friend, that you are one of my biggest inspirations. One, because, you know, obviously I've watched you evolve and grow, but two, you mentioned something about, you know, the trappings of success. And of course, I know that many people look at you and see the success in terms of your career, in terms of, you know, the things you have accomplished. But it's just so humbling to hear you talk about the fact that, yes, you acknowledge that all of those things have happened in your life, but that's not where you find fulfillment. And also the fact that you're so willing and wanting to give back to the community. I think this is a very, very powerful thing. And I know and I believe that your new venture is going to, you know, just go leaps and bounds, and you're going to make differences in many, many people's lives. You've had umpteen comments as you've been speaking. So of course we're going to go over that, but I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions before we go into the comments. I know you have traveled to 69 places. You know, of all of those places, and I know each one probably holds a special place in your heart, which one, if any, is your favorite?
Well, and you know, this question is asked of me a lot, and up until recently, I always had a top three, and I think, you know, I say top three, but I think Ethiopia was very much up there, because Ethiopia for me is such a diverse country. The history, you know, when you think about, you know, the cradle of civilization, the oldest kind of skeleton, Lucy, is found in Ethiopia. You just know when you get there, you're walking through some serious stuff, right? And then, of course, there is the actual, I guess, the kind of religious side of that. So when you think about, you know, the kind of Orthodox Christians, and you kind of go to some of those, you know, initial places where you have those churches that are kind of, you know, in dug out in the rocks, it's amazing. And then when you have that opportunity to go down into like somewhere like the Omo Valley, and you get to sit with tribes like little old me from Bristol, sitting with, I mean, honestly, it's like National Geographic. Am I really here? And so that's been amazing. But I talked about most recently. So most recently, and I think I mentioned it when I did my talk, there was Socotra. Wow. And when I travel, I have limited expectations, right? And this was like a tent. And, you know, and it meant that there were minimal amenities, right? So it's just like, okay, washing, okay, that's going to be okay, it's going to be wet wipes, right? It's going to be wet wipes and the sea, right? But it was a place that blew me away. And it blew me away, one, because of the nature. It was almost untouched. And at one point, I really thought that a dinosaur was going to kind of pop up, because that's how much I felt like I was just in this time that land had forgotten. I walked through forests of incense trees. I climbed the biggest sand dunes to watch the sunrise. You know, I saw water that was pure and beautiful. Trees that only live there. There's a tree called the dragon blood tree. It's only based there. I mean, it was epic, epic, epic. So to be able to, in the morning, zip that tent down, open the tent and look out to such beauty was amazing. So I think it's Socotra in Ethiopia right now. It's those two are tight.
Amazing. Sounds amazing. Another question. I know you mentioned earlier that, you know, of course, the pandemic was a place or a time that really the major transformation happened in your life. And of course, most of us were in a situation where we were working remotely. You were able to still travel while you were working remotely. Can you share with us how you were able to juggle that? Because I am sure there are people right now thinking, wow, she made it happen. You know, your mantra is dare to dream.
Yeah.
And you are doing things and you're making it happen. So can you share a little bit about how you made that happen, how you weren't restricted by, you know, the global pandemic?
Yeah, you know, I'm fearless in a way, in that I'm not a sheep, right? I don't kind of follow the status quo. And you know, there was this fear, particularly from the media and from governments, of like, don't move, because if you move, you're going to die, right? It's kind of like that. But a lot of people were dying, and it was just like, are we going to let this life pass us by? Are we all going to sit closed up indoors while this is happening and let life pass us by? And so I just started to do my research. I found, you know, I had to think about, you know, I did, you know, before people did regular PCR tests, I was doing them all the time. Like, it was a regular thing because I wanted to stay safe. And I also wanted to protect others. You know, I followed all of the protocols that I needed to follow in other countries, because there were countries that were open and there were countries that needed tourism. I mean, Botswana, when I went to that village, I was their first international guest. And my small change in that village made such a difference. So for me, it was important to do my research, to keep myself safe, follow the kind of regulations of the countries that I was going to, and I went. And actually, when I tallied up last year, I traveled to 11 countries. A few of them were repeat countries, but I traveled. And so for me, I don't look at the pandemic as being, you know, in the house lockdown. I look at it as growth, a way of supporting some of those countries that really were suffering through tourism. And I looked at it as, for me, a way of also traveling when the masses aren't doing it. So I was really able to have more intimate experiences. So yeah, it was my mindset. You know, I was like, I'm not going to be fear-mongered. I'm not about that.
And I think this has been an overarching theme throughout the 2 days, that, you know, it's about your mindset, you know, what the mind believes it can achieve. And I think, you know, you are a true testimony of that, you know, it doesn't matter what is going on externally, because you cannot control that. But you can control how you react to it, and you can control what you do with it. So, you know, kudos to you. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the fantastic comments that have been flowing in. So much inspiration. I can see here from Samantha, inspire me, very inspirational. Akua, thank you for sharing. I'm excited for you and will enjoy watching more of your journey. Tino Smith says, thank you, you're very inspiring. We've also got Cordelia Henry, who says she's a travel junkie, and gosh, we need to plan an Africa trip. I've noticed earlier on you had, I think it might be your niece, because you mentioned your niece, Michaela, earlier on. I'm just trying to find that comment there, but she went on to say how much of an inspiration you are. I'm not sure if we can get that comment up.
I can see it. There you go.
Yep, I'm so proud of you. You have inspired me my whole life and continue to do in more ways. than you'll ever know. Your strength, your bravery, and your energy is unmatched. Keep soaring and flying. So, you know, you are, even though you are fulfilling your dream, you are inspiring others. You are inspiring family, friends. You've got Gloria here who's saying success is on the other side of fear. You know, when you share that story about you, you know, kind of being let go and just the fear that you had, and then that feeling of, wow. Yeah. So, you know, this has been amazing, Akua. Again, if you would like to connect with her, you can see her tags. She's at Travelicious 2021 and Instagram, but also you can connect with her at Dreamcatcher Global. I can see Dee here has said, wow, I recently started following you on Instagram and I love what I see. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to follow your journey. You are an inspirational woman and I wish you all the best. Would you like to leave any parting words to our audience today?
Yeah, I think for me, or for you, I should say, because this is for the audience, is it goes back to daring to dream. It really is. And, you know, we've heard it so much, oh, you can do anything, but no, you really can. You really can do anything. And you have to take that. You have to take control. You have to take it back. If you really want it, it's there. It's there for the taking. And remember, life is too short. Remember, you're never too old. Remember, failure is part of success. So what if it doesn't work? Not a problem. Start again. You know, tomorrow is another day. We always have this opportunity to reset, right? And that's why we're here, reset. So thank you all again. And yeah, it's just been a privilege sharing my story.
Thank you, Akua. Right, guys, so it has been so powerful so far. You know, we've had the amazing Kai who shared her emotional journey of how she has developed her confidence. And of course, you've just had the beautiful Akua sharing her journey of daring to dream. So up next, after a very short break, we will have Ejiro, otherwise known as the energetic EJ. EJ is another beautiful soul who encourages people to use their voice. I had the pleasure and honor of being filmed on one of EJ's podcast episodes and just being given that platform and to be able to share my story in more ways than one has been a really powerful part of my journey. So after I was able to do that, you know, of course, it means that people can hear my story, people can connect with me. So my voice was something I struggled with sharing, you know, many years ago. And so the fact that this beautiful soul is now encouraging people to use their voice, because your voice is your impact. So stay tuned, guys. Grab a pen, grab a coffee, grab a tea, whatever it is. We'll be back shortly after this break. I was severely depressed for a good part of half of a year. I really just said, I can't do this anymore. You know, I don't like my job. I'm not happy in my marriage. I'm just not happy, generally. And this was hard because many people saw the alluring, beautiful life that I was living. And so then I became this ungrateful person, actually. What more do you want? You know, what could you possibly want? You've got the sun, you've got the tax-free living, you have 3 children, you have a job. What more? But actually there was something more. Yeah, they don't understand it. And you know what? It's not theirs to understand necessarily. But what I started to understand is that I wasn't alone. There were many other women in the same position, and I would even say maybe men find themselves in situations where they're not fulfilled, and that's not the fault of anyone else. So I would say that I understood.
Your Mind Matters, a 12-day self-paced course with daily inspiration, tasks and meditation to build your confidence and mindset. Join a community of like-minded individuals where you can share and grow together. Alongside the 12-day course, you'll receive access to a private community, key gems of inspiration, prompts and activities, as well as exclusive updates. Join the next intake starting 1st of February 2022. Shift your mind, connect with others, and thrive together. Because to be your best, your mind matters.
Proudly sponsored by Bee Beads. Be different, handmade with love.
Okay, so we are ready for our next guest. As I said before, the energetic EJ. She's just getting ready and she'll be up shortly. But as I said before, she's about empowering. She has her podcast. She also encourages other people to have a podcast. She has created a platform whereby she teaches people to make and use and have value with their voice. As I said earlier, I had the opportunity of being able to speak on her podcast, and it's such a powerful way to spread our stories. So as we are waiting for her to come up, I would just like to encourage all of you again, if you are watching and you have not shared with your friends, please share the link. Do go and follow the people that have spoken today. They have inspirational stories. Some of them have products that they would like to encourage you to purchase or to even just simply to connect. It's all about community. It's all about working together, collaborating. Also, as you know, this platform is powered by Black Girl in Dubai. This is a platform where we promote Black businesses around the world, well, basically in Dubai, but we also are open to have other people come on board to connect. So again, we'll drop the link in the comments. Feel free to reach out, follow, share with your friends. I think we are ready for the energetic EJ. So just hold tight and she will be with you shortly.
Ejiro, popularly known as the energetic EJ, is a woman of many expressions. She's a singer, trainer, sound engineer, voiceover artist, podcaster, and virtual event planner and moderator. She is an audiobooks creator for African authors, with works from notable authors like Ederin Edawa's Amazon best-selling book, The Productivity Checklist, Amaka Aziz, My Sister's Bestie, and Adewale Richards' 3 Things, That Gospel Project, and more. She is dedicated to training and supporting audiobook creators, narrators, and podcasters by creating content and courses that help them thrive in their craft, as well as providing support via a closed community. She is the convener of the Becoming Summit, an initiative with the objective to awaken in the young generation, ages 18 to 35, a desire to be a better version of themselves, i.e. fit for their purpose, and has reached Africa, Europe and Asia, spanning several countries across these continents. Ijero is a master storyteller, and her podcast, the Afrocentrist podcast, focuses on sharing content that speaks to self-improvement and self-development, helping people find their voices, tell their stories, and spread the message of hope. She is an inspiration to many across the globe.
We are live. Oh my goodness, it's been an amazing 2 days of power-packed sessions. Thank you so much to Kai and Marcia. Wow, you girls, you're queens. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you on this. And I am just so privileged to be here today. Thank you, Kai, for opening today's session up so powerfully. Thank you for sharing from your heart, from sharing so vulnerably and just making it clear to us that there is no fear in sharing. Like, rather than be afraid of sharing, just be you, share your story, because out of you sharing, somebody else is going to be encouraged, right? So thank you so much. And I love it when you said, you are the only you there is on earth. Like, there is no other person like you. There is no second Ejiro. There is no second Kai. There is no second Marcia. Even when we are twins, we're never the same. And that's so powerful. Remember that always. And Akua, thank you so much for your beautiful session. And, you just reiterated to me, or just kind of reconfirmed to me, the power in not allowing age stop you from whatever it is that you want to do. Because I am speaking my message to specifically my ideal audience are between the ages of 18 and 35. And my message basically is that when you're 18, you're not too young. You're not too young to start dreaming. You're not too young to start, envisioning that massive, future. And when you're 35, your heart starts to palpitate like, oh my God, I'm 35. I'm just 5 years away from 40. And there's that popular saying that a fool at 40 is a fool forever. And I think that is wrong, by the way. But then, because you've heard it so many times, it just comes to you and you're like, oh my God, just 5 years down the line, I'll be 40. What have I done with my life? And you begin to get a bit anxious, right? And sometimes you get into that trap, or you fall into the trap of comparing yourself with others. Then you see younger people doing amazing stuff and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? But Akua here today just confirmed to me that age is just a number. You can always dream. You can always wake up from your slumber and say, okay, what kind of life do I want to live? And just begin to live it from that moment when you are aware of it, when you come to terms with it, right? Thank you so much, Akua, for reaffirming that for me. And I believe that you did that for most of the people who were online as well. So thank you very much. All right, I want to see the comment section. All right. Oh, look at my peeps here. Thank you so much for being here. I want to see the comment section so that we can engage, today. I see you, Women Talk. I see you, Mom. I see you, Orena. I see you all. TY Odays. I see you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, yes, let us go into the, is my slide on the screen? Can you see it? Oh, okay, fantastic. I can't on the screen, but I can see it from here. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, all right, that's super interesting. But let's go with the flow. All right, thank you so much for being here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to have my second device handy so that I can see the screen properly, because I can see the slides from the back end, but I can't see it on the screen. All right, let's try again if that's going to come up or not. Fantastic. Yes, it's up now. Thank you. Tech issues over here. Thank you so much, Kai. All right. So we're here today to talk about your voice, your impact. Now, this is one of the things that you need to reclaim. You need to reset your mindset, and then you need to realign. So I think, like, who was it who said it yesterday in another, or I think it was Lydia, you have to reset, realign, and then reclaim your power, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which one, whether but you need to reclaim. Just do these three things, basically. Reclaim, reset, and realign, right? It could come one after the other. So today I want to talk to you about your voice, your impact, using your voice as an instrument of impact, influence, and income, right? So for you to be able to do that, and thank you so much, Marcia, for that introduction. And it was such a pleasure hosting you on the Afrocentrist podcast. Your story was inspiring. And I encourage you to go look for that full story. You just got a clip, but go listen or go watch the full story at the Afrocentrist podcast on YouTube or on any preferred podcast channels where you listen to podcasts on. So I'm going to ask some questions to open up this session, and I would like to see, your answers in the comment section. We're talking about our voice today. How can you own your voice? How can you use your voice for impact? Why should you, even think about using your voice for impact? Well, before we go into all of that, let me ask you these questions. Now, my opening questions are, these are the questions I have for you, right? So, how many of you, as of now, right now, love your voice? Let me see in the comment section. Like, I love my voice. I'm okay with it. Can I see in the comment section if you love your voice right now? Let me get a yes. I'll be waiting in the comments. I know there is a bit of lag, so I'll be waiting in the comments to see your answer. But I need you to, yes. Okay, Fiona Phillips says yes. Fantastic. If you have a pen, just answer those questions as well. I love my voice. Shimwala says, awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So how many of you are not comfortable with your voice? Women Talk says, I love my voice. Okay. I love these people. All of you loving your voice, I love. Marcia says, I don't always, but dude, I love you, Marcia. Mwah. Thank you for being sincere right there. Awesome. So how many of you are fairly okay with your voice? So I guess Marcia will fall into that class. Like, okay, you know what? I didn't used to like this voice before, but now I kind of think, I'm okay. But how many of you are confident of how your voice sounds? So that would be most of you who says you love your voice. So if you love your voice, it means that you're confident that, okay, this is how I sound, and I'm owning it and I'm loving it, which is good. So my own story is about maybe 15, 16 years ago, I was told that in a gathering of people that I sounded like a masquerade. Now, this was because, in that period, I used to sing a lot. And when I sing a lot at that time, my voice, breaks easily. And so in that moment, my voice was in a broken state. But then this person was somebody I looked up to. And the person, said that in passing. But what he said, because we all laughed, every other person laughed at the joke. It was funny at the time, but there was something it did to me that I didn't even realize till later. Like it kind of, I fell in love with my voice. Okay, thank you, Patience, for that. I kind of it kind of etched in my mind, like, oh my God, I have a terrible voice. And that almost stopped me from putting my voice on anything, like from using my voice at all. But thank God, because it's just like it felt like God, knew what he wanted me to do. He knew what his plan was. And so he started to put things in order, make my life go in such a way that I always come back to something around the voice. Whether I am teaching or I'm speaking or I'm singing or I'm presenting, I've got, a reason. I've always had a reason to use the voice. And so it was like I couldn't hide away from it. So even though I wasn't comfortable with the voice anymore because somebody said something, I didn't have a choice anyways, because I was always in situations where I needed to use the voice. So it came to a point in time where when I got to that point, I'm like, you know what?
this is my voice. At some point, I really, really hated my voice. I felt like I sounded like a man. I felt like I sounded like a guy. Like the voice was too hoarse. It was too strong. I wanted to sound like a girl, like, very, I would hear some people's voices. I'm like, oh my God, look at how sweet your voice sounds, right? But I had to come to terms with it that, see, this is me. This is my voice, and I'm going to own it. And even if it sounds like a man's voice, I'm going to make it the best manly woman voice that you've ever heard, right? And so I started to train. I started to work on this voice. My God, if I played to you some things that I recorded years ago, and now there's a clear difference. There's a clear difference that I've grown in the way that I sound, that I've grown in the way that I speak, that I've grown in the way that I, present, and all of those things. So that is also to show you the power of just knowing that thing, accepting it, and then being consistent with it. Thank you so much for engaging in the questions that I asked. Then I'm going to move on now. Now you need to know something, that there is nothing that happens. I love this quote, by Steve Maraboli, which says, once your mind changes, everything on the outside will change along with it. So I had to change my mind about my voice, and everything changed, because the moment I changed my perception to say, this is my voice, I am owning it, that's changed. It kind of put me in a different perspective. It kind of put me in a different light, because now I'm comfortable with that voice and I'm able to use it better. I'm able to look at it objectively and say, okay, this I don't like about this voice, this I can do about it, right? So there's rarely anything of worth that does not begin from the mind. So we have to really, really pay attention to our mind, because it's one of the strongest, most powerful instruments that God has given to us as humans. We need to be able to wield its power, right? So now, before we go into it, and I'll show you some of the things that I want to share with you, I want you to do this exercise with me. Wherever you are right now, you're going to say this out loud with me, and then you're going to quickly type it out. And as you type it out, just say it out loud with me. It's more like a confession, okay? Right? Because we want to start that journey. We want to start that journey of saying our minds needs to change with regards to where our voice is heard. So I need you to say these words after me. Say, I have a voice, and my voice is meant for impact. I will love it, I will take care of it, and use it as a tool for impact. So help me God. Yay! How many people are making that commitment? Let me check in the comment section. Come on, type it out now. Say, I make that commitment to love my voice. I accept that I have a voice. I accept that my voice is meant for impact, and I will love it. I will take care of it, and I will use it as a tool for impact. So help me God. Let me see the comments coming in affirmation to this. Okay, you can just say done. I've said it, done. I'm committed. Aqua says thank you. yes, just say I'm committed. You can just say that out loud. I'm committed. I love that. Makeda Hazel says I have a voice, and my voice is meant for impact. I will love it, take care of it, and use it as a tool for impact. So help me God. Thank you so much. Kai says I am committed. Thank you for committing to that, and don't let go of that commitment. Know that your voice is important, and it is an instrument of impact. Now moving on. There are three things I want to share with you today. Two segments. Let me just quickly, do this one. There are two segments I'm going to share with you today. So your voice, we've settled now that in our minds that our voice are meant for impact. Then the next thing you need to know is that you can use your voice in two ways, the literally and implied. Literally being your voice, this vocal vibration that you can hear, the sound that you can hear from my voice. That is your literal voice, how you sound. But then there is the implied voice. What are you saying? What is your message? Whenever you show up, what do you represent? That also can be a form of your voice. Okay, so two parts. Part one is literally, and part two is implied. So those are the two areas that we're going to be looking at. And when it comes to literal, there are three things that I want you to know about your literal voice. And it comes with an acronym that says LCU, and that's what we're going to be looking at now. All right. So when it comes to your literal voice, there are three things I need you to know about your literal voice. I need you to remember, and then and so first of all is for your literal voice, the way you sound. First, you've got to L it. You've got to love it. You've got to love it. You've got to love your voice. And I'm glad that most of the people on the call today love their voice. Fantastic. Please do not stop loving it. Do not let anything anyone says change your mind about your voice. Okay? So love it. Love your voice. If you're not comfortable, now when you say you love your voice, I hope you really do. Quickly in the comments, how many people here who said they love their voice, they love their voices, have actually recorded your voice and played it back to yourself before? Has any of you done that? And when you did that, what was your reaction? What was your first reaction? The first time you recorded yourself and played it back to yourself and listened to your recorded voice. Be sincere. What was your first reaction? I want to see that in the comment section. The first time you recorded yourself and you played it back. I'm going to share my reaction, but I want to hear or read yours first. Okay, Shenwola says, yes, I have done that. What was your reaction the first time you recorded yourself? Makida says, I liked it. That's fantastic. So you truly love your voice. Women Talk Today says, yes, I sounded awful. Correct. That was how I sounded too. Kai says, it used to be so hard to listen to myself. I would, you just used the right word, Kai. Exactly. You would cringe and be like, gosh, is this what people are listening to? Is this how I sound? No way. No. This is not the way I sound. That was my first reaction the first time I recorded my voice and, listened back. Marcia is saying the same thing, right? So for those of you who the first time you recorded your voice and listened to it, but you loved it, kudos to you. Well done. You are super duper cool. Yes. Fantastic. So, but the first time I recorded and listened to my voice, I'm like, no way, this is not how I sound, right? And that's okay. That's okay. And that's why you need to now love your voice. So if that was your reaction the first time, then okay, this is the way people listen to me. This is the way people hear how I sound. So if it's making me uncomfortable, what can I do about it? First of all, the first step is love your voice. Now, when you want to also increase or improve in the way that your voice sounds, you need to be able to get to that point where you are able to listen to that voice without cringing anymore. And that's me today. Because I would literally, anyways, the line of work that I do, the kind of industry that I'm in, it's almost like I don't have a choice. I've got to do it because I'm an audio engineer. I've got to listen to my voice. I'm into production of audio books. So that means me sitting for hours recording and then going on to the next phase, editing. I've got to love the voice. Otherwise, I'm not going to do a good job of it, right? So love your voice. And that's what I would say can help you with falling more in love with your voice, getting used to your voice, and not just in an obsessive way to now get into your head and like, oh, I sound awesome, no. But you need to get to a point where you are able to listen to your voice objectively to know that I don't think that sounded the right way it should sound. I don't think that kind of voice tone actually interprets what I'm trying to say, right? So, and the way you can do that is actually record yourself more often, listen to it, and listen objectively. Imagine that this is not you. If whatever you're recording, whatever you're saying, if you listen to it objectively, you'll be able to objectively say, okay, this sounded too harsh. It should have been more soft. This sounded too fast. It should have been slower. This should have been more relaxed, right? It's all in the practice of listening over and over again that you're able to know the different ways to sound. And it also helps you, if you're in my line of work, to not sound monotonous one way, very flat, very bland. It helps you to know when to inflect your voice, when to change your voice, when to make it calm, when to make it loud, when to make it low. It helps with that. Number 2 is C. And C is you've got to care for your voice. You've got to care for this voice. It's an instrument. It's an instrument. Yes, your voice is an instrument. And what do you do to instruments? You've got to care for them. If you are an instrumentalist here, like if you've ever played any kind of instrument, even if it's the flute or the recorder or the guitar or the ukulele, like I play the ukulele, or the piano, whatever instrument you play here, the saxophone, right? You would know as an instrumentalist that you don't just leave your instrument uncared for. You don't. You're always looking out for it to say it is being kept well, it is being kept in a perfect condition so that it doesn't, get bad, so that the strings, if it's strings instrument, the strings are not rusty. You go for it and you clean it from time to time. It's out of use. When you don't use it for a long time, you yourself, you become rusty at playing that instrument. So why not the same thing with our voices? Our voices are our instruments, and they are our natural instrument that God has given to us. So we need to care for it. We need to take care of it. And some, ways to care for your voice, which is the vocal, the vocal sound you're hearing now, the vibration that is bringing the sound that you're hearing now. Some ways to care for it is you breathe properly. And breathing properly is breathing from your diaphragm, not to your chest or not to your shoulders. So most times when you say breathe in, most people go, you see. But when it comes to speaking, you can't sustain a long breath by breathing with your chest. You've got to breathe with your diaphragm, which is like the lower part of your belly, right? You imagine that you are filling your stomach. You imagine that your stomach is a balloon and you're filling it up with air, and it helps you, sustain breath better. It helps you control your breath better. You can hydrate your voice. There's always, have water around you, preferably warm water. Sometimes you can have warm tea. Sometimes you can have tea and honey, and all of these things help with making your voice stay hydrated. You should rest your voice from time to time, right? So we've been on this summit now for 2 days. I know Kai has been speaking a lot. Marcia has been speaking a lot, with all the back end work that we've been doing. After the summit today, to be a good thing to just chill for the rest of the evening, or even plus tomorrow, to just relax and take care of the voice. Not too much shouting, not too much speaking, just to care for it, to ensure that, okay, we recover before we hit the road running again, right? Engage in vocal warm-ups. There are several of them that you can find out or check out online. And drink tea, a lot of tea with lemon and honey. It helps soothe your vocal cords. Engaging in vocal warm-ups when you are in a hot shower also helps with your voice. Then also, when it comes to speaking and using your voice and ensuring that your voice sounds great, you need to also pay attention to your posture, right? You don't go slouching when you're speaking, because it's going to affect the way you sound. So when you're speaking, you have to have the right posture so that the voice, whatever is coming out clean, clear, crisp, and people can really understand what you're saying. Avoid dairy, drinks, chocolates. Well, for that one, we cheat sometimes because there are always cheat days. But when you have a speaking engagement or a singing engagement, please do away or stay away from dairy product, because it kind of causes phlegms in your throat, right? So those are some of the ways that you can care for your voice. So I've said you have two ways of using your voice: your literal voice or your implied voice. Your literal voice being the sound that your voice makes, and your implied voice being your message, right? And for your literal voice, I'm sharing with you 3 things you should know or pay attention to about your voice, your literal voice. And the first thing I said was love your voice. And number 2, I said care for your voice. And the U stands for use it. Use your voice. This literal one, yes, use it. Speak to people, try and learn how to, when you learn your sound, try and use it. It's an instrument. If you don't use it, you get rusty, right? So learn to use your voice correctly. Just, have exercises. Sometimes when you read, don't read inside. Most of us, we do that a lot. We read with our eyes, and we don't vocalize it. And you'll be shocked that if you are in the gathering, maybe if you are into a lot of reviews, group reviews, and then it's your turn and you're like, okay, read this page to this page. Sometimes you're shocked at how you're stuttering with words that when you read on your own, you actually read through it without any issues. But because you're not vocalizing it, it will shock you the way it will sound by the time you're trying to read it out loud. So to avoid that, you need to practice reading out loud. So when you are alone reading, try and vocalize what you're reading, because sometimes when you pronounce words, you don't even know that you're not pronouncing it correctly until you actually pronounce the words. And so when you do that, it helps you know that, oh, that's not how to pronounce it. Or no, it didn't come out right. That didn't sound right. And you're able to then learn how to pronounce it correctly. So use the voice. And then there are other ways to use your voice as well, some of which include singing. So if you have a great voice for singing, please use it. Don't be shy. Even if you're singing in your bathroom, yes, sing. If you know how to sing, sing. Join communities of people who can sing so that you're able to use your voice. You can have a group of friends who you always just maybe set aside a day of the week when you have karaoke and sing. Use the voice, enjoy yourself. Another way you can use it is speak. Now, I know that public speaking is one of the most dreaded fears in the world. People want to faint when they have any opportunity to say, okay, you speak. You're like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? It's such a real fear, but you've got to use your voice, and you can do it by practicing. Practice in front of your mirror. Get your close friend and present for them. If you are married, if you have children, present to your kids, get feedback. And the more you do this, the better you get at it. You can also use your voice in the area of narration, which is one of the ways that I serve my world. Creating audiobooks for African authors. So you can also, if you have a great voice, if you have the ability to use your voice in different ways, there are people who are gifted like that, like they can mimic different voices. If you can do that, don't waste it. There is a reason God gave you that ability. Not everybody can. Even as far as simple things like tongue rolling, something like that. Not everybody can do it, but if you can, do it. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can roll their tongue like that. Right? Not everybody can leap rope. Not everybody is funny, but not everybody can do that. Right? So if you are able to use your voice, change your voice, and sound any way you want to sound, then use it. Find a community, find a place that you're able to harness that voice and use it for your world, to impact your world. Another way that you can use it is voice acting. So you can, go into voice acting, cartoons, or just telling stories, right? Or voiceovers. You can use that as well. You can use it in spoken word poetry. Some of you are already great at writing great poems. How about you add your voice to it and give it life? Because the way that you are going to present it, because you wrote it, the words are going to come out with power, right? So you can use your voice for spoken words poetry. And one of the other things that you can do, which I'm big on, is podcasting, right? You can use your voice for podcasting. You can share your area of expertise. You've learned a lot, and you can share your knowledge by podcasting, right? Or you can go my style. I am more of the interview style. So I interview because I love to hear people's stories. I love people sharing their stories, because it's just too many references for you to know that, okay, there is possibilities out there. Like, people have gone through some things that you are just going through, and you can gain strength. You can get strength from them. You can learn from their errors. You can learn from their mistakes. You can look at them and say, okay, if this person can do it, I can do it too, right? So use your voice. And podcasting is one way that you can use your voice that actually gives you those 3 eyes. When you podcast, you can increase your influence. You can increase your impact, and you can definitely increase your income by podcasting. Okay, so explore any of those ways. Sorry, I didn't move my slide. Explore any of these ways to use your voice. Find out, just try them. The one that speaks to you, the one that jumps at you. The first one that jumps at you, don't second guess yourself. Most times our God knows these things. When you see something that resonates with your heart, with the soul of who you are, it jumps at you. But sometimes you then allow all the voices in your head shut you down, or the naysayers shut you down. Say, oh, is it your type they're looking for? Or is it your kind of voice they're asking for? No. If narration jumped at you, go look for how you can harness it. If voiceover acting jumps at you, go find out, how can I make this happen? What community do I need to belong to? Who do I need to work with? Who do I need to meet to be able to make it happen? All right. So you can explore any of these ones. And if podcasting is one of the things that you want to explore, connect with me. All right. And I'll show you how to do it easily. Okay. My next, question to you as we segue into your implied voice. That we've talked about your literal voice, how you sound. Now your implied voice, which is what people see when they see you. What is your voice? What is your voice? Thank you, Shewonla. I see you. Thank you so much. How do you care for your voice? I'm going to get some questions later. I will get back to your questions. So please hang in there, right? What is your message? What do you want to talk about? And how do you find your message? What is that thing that speaks to you in the society, right? So your message speaks to your assignment, your impact. How do you want to impact your world? And this is a lifelong journey. It evolves as we evolve as well, because your core message will be there, but from time to time, the channel through which you share that message might evolve. Okay, so this one, you might need to sit with God and ask Him, like, why am I here? You need to be able to answer that question. Why am I here? Who am I sent to? So, for example, my current message, as we are now, is to say, I really want to encourage people within that age bracket, 18-35, right? 18, you're not too young. You're not too young to do exploits. You're not too young to start daring, to start exploring what life truly is. You don't really need to have to wait till you're 20 to you're 25. At 18, you should be able to dream big. You should be able to explore, do all the things that comes to your mind. Use your youth, right? But at the same time, peradventure, you have missed it at that point. You didn't take advantage of it, and now you're looking back. You're 35. Well, it's not too late. It's not too late. It's not too late to start over. It's not too late to dream. At some point in my life, I think I lost the ability to dream, because as I was growing up, a lot happened, with my family, and especially my dad. And I remember, God bless his heart, God bless his soul. And I remember before he passed, we would literally, have conversations at home, and we would dream, we would imagine things together. We would plan for how we wanted life to be, at a particular time. So we would think, he would paint the pictures. The pictures were so vivid. So at the time he was working somewhere, and it felt like they were owing a backlog of payment. And so we would dream about the day that this payment is going to land, and we would imagine all the things we were going to do, how we were going to change our apartment, how I was going to have my own room to myself, how I was going to decorate my walls with posters, the type of posters I wanted, how he would get me a car with one door. I remember, like, he just said, what, you're my first daughter, I want you to have that car with a door that only you and one of your bestie would always drive around town. We would dream about these things. But guess what? None of these things happened till he passed. And so when he did, I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of dreaming? What's the point, really, if it won't come to pass? So I just stopped. And I'm like, you know what? There's no point. Just save yourself. Save yourself from heartbreak. Save yourself from disappointment by not dreaming at all. So that if nothing happens, well, it's okay. It's all right. But eventually I discovered that, that was me just shooting myself. That things didn't work out well the way we expected them does not mean that I should have stopped dreaming. Because the moment I stopped dreaming, I stopped, having any standard at all. I stopped having expectations. And so I would go with the flow. Whatever comes, comes. And that's not the best way to live. Coasting along in life is not the best way to live. You will miss out on a lot of things. May it not be heard of us that when we get to heaven, when we get back to our Creator, and then He shows us what we were supposed to be, the amount of impact we're supposed to make right here on earth, and what we then did. And then you just like regret. I'm like, oh my God. So I could have been this, and this is all I did. I don't want that for me. I don't want that. So I've had to come back to that place where I'm like, no, okay, God, I know you have a lot for me. You couldn't have blessed me with all of these gifts and talents and this energy for nothing. No, there is more. There is more. And now I'm beginning to dream again. And I started dreaming again late, but it's okay. It's okay. At the point when I stopped dreaming, well, because all of these things couldn't happen, it meant that I couldn't go to school the way I should have. It meant that my dad couldn't send me to school. And I don't know, for some reason, I made up my mind that if my dad couldn't send me to school, then I'm not going. That was a stupid mindset, right? Right? That I was not going. And so that meant that I couldn't, finish my education at the age I was supposed to. And so I went back to school at a very old age. I mean, when I got back into college to get a degree, literally, my classmates were half my age. So it was more like, oh my God, who is this mom in this class? It was embarrassing at some point, but I knew what I knew what I wanted at that point. And it made all the difference for me. So what am I saying is you need to know your message. And when you know your message, which is what you want to share, it's then what do you then need to do with that message? So you've known. Now I know that, okay, I want to speak to this set of people. And I want to say, I need you to live an inspired life. And sometimes you might not even have the means, say, okay, education, for example. But what I'm positioning myself to do is to give you different perspective by sharing different people's story, both the person who was privileged from their childhood to have all they needed, and somebody who has nothing, who has literally nothing, but from nothing we're able to make something out of their lives. That is why I do what I do. That is why I share the story that I share with every platform that I have, whether I'm creating audiobooks for people or I'm podcasting at the Afrocentrist podcast. I just want to give everyone a reference that it is possible to dream again, regardless of where you are now, regardless of what the things that you've gone through so far, regardless of how life might have beaten and battered you. You can dream again. You can dream again. So now that you have a message, what do you do with your message? What do you do with your message? Number one, you're going to do ABC, right? You're going to do ABC. And A is you search for knowledge, acquire knowledge in that area, the area that you want to impact in. What area do you want to impact in? Go search for knowledge. It is not enough to know what God wants you to do with your voice. It is your responsibility to sharpen your skill in that area. Because oftentimes when God gives us a vision, it is always beyond our competence at the time. You would see it clearly and you'd be like, oh my God, this is too huge. This is too huge. And see, there's danger in not getting knowledge in that thing that you want to do, in that message that you want to send. Number one, it will cripple you if you don't have the right message, if you don't have the right knowledge to be able to share that message, to be able to articulate the message that you have, and even send it to the people who needs it. And I'm a proper example of that. So in 2014, I went for a training, an on-air personality training. And in that training, one of the materials that was used was called the Bible Experience. Go and check it out. It's an amazing, amazing work of art. And I saw that Bible Experience and my heart leapt for joy. That was the moment this idea of audiobook thing was birthed in 2014. Like, God, I want to recreate this for Africa. Funny enough, like I don't even, now looking at it back now, I'm like, oh my God, that was a vision moment right there. And I just misused it. Because God gave me that vision at that time. He put that burden in my heart at that time. But at the time, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't go in. I went in search of knowledge, but not a full package. I only went one-sided. I only focused on the creative part. But there is the business part of it. There is the organizational part of it that I missed out on. And I remembered when we started then, I went ahead and did all the wrong things first. I went and, started a business, created a business name, registered a business without knowing anything about business. I went for the wrong knowledge. So I did all that and I didn't know how to run the business. But I remembered one thing clearly back then was that the idea back then was very virgin, was very new to the African industry. Audiobooks weren't a thing in 2014 for Africa, but I knew it existed because, well, the Bible experience showed me that. And so what God wanted me to do was to prepare me. And for some reason, we just said, 5 years from now, part of the vision back then was like, we wanted to be the aggregator for African audiobooks. Aggregator, just collecting it. We're going to do it for free. But we wanted to be an aggregator of African audiobooks so that by the time the market was ready for it, we would be ready. We would be like, yes, now you people are aware that, okay, there's such a thing as audiobook anyways. We're here for you. And guess what? 2020 came 5 years later, and I knew that, oh my God, I just messed up. I just missed this. Because the moment the lockdown happened, a lot of people couldn't go out. That was when a lot of people moved online. Do you understand? Reading moved online. A lot of people started, looking out, for ways, different ways to learn and all of that. And audiobook became more. Audio generally, audio content, audiobook just blew up in 2020. And it's still blowing up now, right? But I missed out on that because I didn't go for the right knowledge. And here I am today. Of course, this dream is not dead. And hopefully I'm going to have to revive it. And hopefully I'm going to do something with it. But it broke me into pieces. And I'm like, God, I am so sorry that I've disappointed you, right? So when you have your message, go in search of knowledge so that you're able to refine it. If you need help with it, go in search of help so that you're able to refine it. Number 2, B. So you're doing A, B, C. And so the next thing is B. You're doing B. B is, B, build confidence. Build confidence. So when you know you're not, you search for knowledge, build confidence. And the sure way to get confidence is practice. Practice your message. Practice what you want to say. Keep refining it until you get better at speaking it, at sharing with people, until you get better at putting your thoughts together to actually share that message. And C, swiftly, is consistency. Consistently show up. Show up everywhere you go with your message. Let people know this is your message. There's still there's still people who, they just kind of like, now you're afraid of showing it. You're afraid of showing it. All right, right? You're afraid of showing your message or sharing your message, for the fear of, oh my God, is this going to be right? But please don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to share your message, okay? Do not be afraid to share your message. So now I've shared those 3 things with you. First thing, your literal voice, you've got to love it, you've got to care for it, and you've got to use it. And now on the other side, for your implied message, you've got to acquire knowledge around it, you've got to build confidence, and you've got to consistently show up. All right. And with consistency, sometimes you're going to get tired, but don't let that dissuade you. Always come back on track. All right. Now, one reason that people are not comfortable or people are not comfortable using their voices is because they are shy. And I get that. They're shy. Shyness is an emotion that affects how a person feels and behaves around others. So you're shy. You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of rejection. Like, oh my God, what are people going to say? What will people say about this thing? But girl, you have to overcome shyness, right? Because you can't afford to be shy when it comes to impact making, right? You can't be shy, right? So shyness, you have to take it out. Even if you're an introvert, you need to be able to work yourself out of being shy. And the first step in taking away that shyness is, again, coming back to the beginning, using your mind, using your imagination. And because of this, I've created a very sweet short booklet to help you, to share with you 6 ways, 6 ways that you can like, did my slide go down? Okay, I think it's hanging. I wanted to share with you 6 ways, 6 simple but effective ways that you can, overcome shyness, that you can crush your shyness, right? So I'm going to drop the link in the comments now. You can get that easily and just, go through that and then just work your way out of being shy, all right? So I'll leave you with this question before I leave the stage today, because our time is fast spent, is to ask you, what would you do differently living here now that you've heard this message, now that you've heard, how you can use your voice, what one thing would you do differently leaving this space today? Let me see in your comment section. Yes, Women Talk says sharing your message, even just one person can make an impact. Don't underestimate them. Absolutely, absolutely do not. Even if it's one person, that one person needs to hear your message for them to change their lives around, or for them to turn their lives around. So you really, really, really want to be bold about sharing your message. All right. So yes, you can get this sweet booklet and overcome shyness if this is something that you're struggling with. Okay. And then when you overcome the shyness, get back to me and come tell me if you're looking at, okay, you know what, now I've overcome my shyness and I want to use my voice, and podcasting is one of the things. You can connect with me and let's, take it off from there. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you in this capacity. Let us connect. You can connect with me on Instagram at @theenergeticEJ_, and follow me from there and follow my works, my podcast, the Afrocentrics podcast, and every other thing that I do. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This definitely resonates with me on so many levels, because I definitely struggled with sharing my voice, and I have seen the power of podcasting. So, I definitely will encourage those of you out there who feel that, maybe you have a voice, but you're shy, as EJ says, really consider, what impact it can make on the world, because I've certainly learned that mine can, and yours can too. Well, wrapping up, before we do that, actually, I just wanted to say something quickly, EJ. I was really hoping you were going to share a little bit more about your SMPC course. EJ is obviously being very modest today, but she does actually have a course for people who are out there who are interested in podcasting. And again, you can find the details of that in her link, in her bio. So I'm just plugging that for her, because she's obviously being a bit shy today. But there were many comments in there where people were saying, that I think there was one lady I saw, or one gentleman maybe even, that they had reached the age of 60, but they're still not giving up. It's not a limit. It's never too late to dream. We can all dream. And we can all do things in our life. And as you shared, you studied at a later point in your life, but I believe things happen when they're supposed to happen, and it's never too late, and it was the divine time for you to do that. And so it's not about beating yourself up or living in regret. It's accepting that this is a situation, and I'm still moving forward irrespective of the challenges that have been in my life. So thank you, EJ. Thank you so much. Today has been another power-packed day with these amazing speakers. We are so super honored that you have joined us. Please remember to share the link so your friends can watch and be inspired. If you haven't registered with the original link, we will drop that into the comments. Also, if you would like to keep up to date with what latest events are going to be happening under the Black Girl in Dubai umbrella, we would love to have you on board. It has been amazing, and we look forward to hosting you again soon.
We want to bring Kai up now?
Yes.
Yes. Kai, come up, girl.
Hello. How are you doing? It has been fantastic, actually. And it was amazing listening to you, just talking and sharing. And I really resonated. Thankfully, this hasn't been my story, but I saw that when you were talking about dreaming when you were younger, and then obviously touching on your story with dreaming with your family, and then it all changed and you just stopped and you were like, okay, I don't want the disappointment anymore, so let's just save that hassle and get on with life, and I know that I've also been there, but not in similar circumstances. So I know that a lot of people listening probably could also have related. So that was great. You need to use your voice, and it doesn't mean you have to be a singer. It doesn't mean you do public speaking, but you have to get out there and get out of your own way. So yes. This has been great, guys, hasn't it?
Yes.
It has been amazing. It has been an amazing 2 days. You know, I won't lie, you know, it has not been easy, you know, in the background, of course, but this is just a true testimony of when you do what you love and you love what you do,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
there's nothing that's going to stop you.
Absolutely.
When you
It's
love what
really
you do, you never work a day in your life. I remember reading that quote
100%.
years ago and thinking, what does that even mean? Of course you've got to work, you know, it's still work, but actually the joy that comes out of it,
very
the hours, the tireless days, it's all worth
worth
it.
it.
And you literally go to bed with a smile on your face. And
Yeah.
that's different. That's the different feeling. So we really hope that whilst you've been listening to all the speakers over this fantastic weekend, that somebody has, you know, resonated with you. Maybe it wasn't even the speakers, maybe it was someone in the comments who shared, and maybe you didn't get to leave a comment, but it was still something that made you think. That is the purpose, and that is why we put this together. Many of you have actually come and watched afterwards, and you'll be watching this in the replay as well. And we're really, really grateful, because the whole point of having this whole panel and the teamwork, the friendships that have been built out of this long before the summit came to pass, and ever since, you know, getting the speakers on board, introducing each other to each other, and just showing the overlap. You know, we do have an overlapping audience, we do have an overlapping sometimes fears, dreams, goals, and we can do it together. It's not about trying to do it on your own or trying to compete or trying to hate. It's about collaborating, making a friend of mine always says, many hands make work light. And trust me, that is something that I never forget, because teamwork literally makes the dream work. And if you are able to share with someone who has a similar interest to you, you know, myself and Marcia, as I said, I didn't think I was going to really speak to her as soon as I did, or maybe ever again. I come across lots of people all the time in the events. And here we are, cackling most days on the phone, having a little bit of a rant or a bit of a, oh my God, you never guess what just happened. But when you find the right kind of people, you know, Marcia always says, and I love it, so I steal it, but
Yeah.
your vibe attracts your
Is it right? Yeah.
seriously, your vibe attracts your tribe. And I know, Cordelia, if you're still watching, or if you watched yesterday live or you've watched the replay, Cordelia Henry speaks about that. And you know, we think, oh, we've all got friends, but actually, what kind of friends do you have? What kind of company do you keep? Yeah, you have to build that core circle, because your vibe attracts your tribe. So
100%.
Marcia, are there any closing remarks that you'd like to add before we thank all of our speakers and the team? What would you like to
Yeah,
say?
I would just like to leave everybody with the lasting thought of, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I hope that over these last 2 days, something has ignited in you that's made you really think, if you're not happy where your life is right now, what can you do to take control of your life? What can you do to make that small change that's going to make your life better? Because ultimately, you are the driver of your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
EJ, are there any closing thoughts off the back of your talk, or as we wrap up, is there anything that you'd like to say or share? Any
Well,
gems?
it's been an amazing 2 days, and like you said, like one of the things that you need to leave here with is never walk alone. And I know it's difficult for some people, especially you can say, oh, I'm shy, but see, you can't do life alone. You cannot fulfill purpose alone. It's not possible. Forget all the stories of self-made one thing. Nobody is self-made. At least two people came together for you to be birthed, right? So that already discounts that statement that you're self-made. You didn't make yourself, and you can't make it in life alone. So just find your tribe. And it's been such a pleasure and honor working with these two amazing women right here, and you know, all the speakers. And Rutendo, mwah, you are amazing. We celebrate you really. And thank you for all the support from all our friends all over Dubai and outside of Dubai as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying in the comments. Thank you for just being here. We appreciate you. And as you keep sharing this link, please do, because there is one person that needs to hear one thing one of the speakers said that would really ignite something in their heart. And that's the whole essence of why we put this together. And we do thank you one more time for being here with us.
Absolutely. I'd just like to add to that and say, you know, as Marcia said, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's what I noticed. There was a cycle that was happening for me. Every so often I'd get into these lulls and it felt weird because it would be different jobs, different friends, whatever. But it was obvious when I moved. And sometimes it takes tragedy or some big things to happen. But if you feel something now, you have to follow your gut. You have to follow your intuition. So we are so grateful that you've tuned in. For those of you who have been watching the whole weekend, or for those of you who maybe just tuned in a few minutes ago, we are so, so grateful. We really appreciate you sharing, come in for a short while or the entire thing. We really thank the speakers for their time, their wisdom, their knowledge. In a lot of circumstances, it's meant that there has been some sort of trials and tribulations. It hasn't all been roses. You know, but there is a story behind the beautiful presentations and the talks that we heard. So, you know, get in touch with the speakers. Everyone here is open to hearing from you. We want to help. We want to share. Maybe it's a question we can point in the right direction, or maybe we end up working together. But I'd love to just say a huge thank you to Lydia Andrews for her money talks, helping us to get our coins together, planning for those big dreams now, in the future, maybe in 5-10 years when we're retired. Thank you so much to Cordelia. We know you're still watching live. It was amazing hearing Cordelia Henry talking about building your tribe and having your core circle, because if you're not enjoying the 5 people that you spend the most time with, it's time to change it up. And then, of course, Marcia, we had you talking yesterday, giving us all the gems about how you found your purpose and the 2 decades that you and even Cordelia have been here. And then today, me, EJ, and the amazing Akuya. Do you know what? I found your story amazing as well. So we've learned so much about each other, even during this process. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for staying tuned, and keep watching, keep sharing, like, subscribe, follow. Let's stay connected. Bye-bye.
Bye. You know what? Let's play some music as we go off, right? So they've got music here. Like literally, this just came in yesterday. And I'm like, hey, where is it? It's loading. We are done. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Hey, it's all about reset, reclaim, realign, being in your truth, letting it go, being free. Let's go.
Dance with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We are so grateful. Thank you. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you're here in the UAE, we hope you enjoy your new weekend. We're a few weeks in, to have a very happy Sunday. And for the rest of the world, we are now with you Saturday, Sunday weekends. We hope you have a great one.
Yeah.
Hi there, this is Ejiro. I am the energetic EJ, and I'm a podcaster at the Afrocentrist Podcast, where I podcast with a difference, with a focus on personal development. I've had a lot of people come to me for podcasting tips, which led me to creating the Business of Podcasting course. And you see, in the next 90 days, I want to help just 20 people do the same thing. That is, start, grow, and monetize your podcast. See, if you are ready to put in the work, then it is you I want to work with. This is for you if you have a compelling message, or you are an expert in your field and you have something for your world, but you're looking for a way to grow your impact, your influence, and your income. And I can tell you for sure that podcasting is one sure way of doing that, and I would love to work with you. But I also need to confirm that you are a fit for me. So why not hop on a call with me by clicking on the link in my bio and clicking on the link that says connect with me. We'll hop on a call and I'll have that conversation with you to know if you are a perfect fit, because I only want to work with people who are ready to put in the work to get the result that they desire. And I can't wait, if you are the one, for you to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. All right? Hit the link now. Let's have that conversation. Bye.
Your Mind Matters, a 12-day self-paced course with daily inspiration, tasks, and meditation to build your confidence and mindset. Join a community of like-minded individuals where you can share and grow together. Alongside the 12-day course, you'll receive access to a private community, key gems of inspiration, prompts and activities, as well as exclusive updates. Join the next intake starting 1st of February 2022. Shift your mind, connect with others, and thrive together. Because to be your best, your mind matters.
Proudly sponsored by Bee Beads. Be different, handmade with love.